What's up, San Diego?
San Diego, turn it up. From the dugout to the sidelines, from the front office to the fan in the stands, this is where San Diego sports comes to be heard.
College athletics is the gift that keeps on giving. This is why I love this stuff.
He's not just talking about the game, he's driving the conversation, breaking it down, calling it out, and saying what everyone else won't.
They start licking their chops, man, when they hear like, oh, look at all these guys the Padres could potentially trade.
This is the voice San Diego Sports trusts on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
We're your favorite show's favorite show.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
Think about the children, the family show.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? Happy Tuesday, everybody out there in America's finest cities. Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fans. Good to be with all of you here on a Tuesday. And you know what? I feel like we're doing the same show almost every day here, Frank. I really do. We're talking about the same thing over and over and over again. I keep reading the same stuff on social media over and over and over again. And I felt like we did this last year. And I felt like we did that the year before. I mean, the difference this year, though, too, you throw in the ABS version of this, it's amazing. It's like the same day, every single day. It's the same reactions on social media after the game every single day. How many times we're going to watch this team hit and then not score any runs? How many times are we going to see the starting pitcher, go out there and, well, he's either going to get lit up or the bullpen's going to have to come in, or he's going to battle the bullpen that comes in is going to give up the inherited runs, and then we're going to have to, throw it to the bullpen for the rest of the game. It has been the same game almost every single day.
To be fair, them not scoring runs has been a constant this season. Them hitting and not scoring runs is kind of new.
That is new.
To be fair.
I heard Tony yesterday go like, oh, the guys are bopping today. Yeah, 2 runs, though. They out-hit the Cubs. They have 11 hits yesterday. I mean, at the time that they mentioned that on the broadcast on the radio, they had 9 hits. They had 2 runs to show for it. You got to see some of the guys hit, put things together. We got picked off at first base. Okay, that was we can't be having that, Andújar. But my biggest takeaway from yesterday's game is I go back to Sunday, and I go back to my open yesterday, and and when you pay attention to the way that teams like LA play, and then you watch the Padres play in terms of like what they're doing, it's like it becomes almost head-scratching sometimes on what they decide to do. Look, I will say this. Players that are getting older are going to eventually not be the same player they were when they're young. You can't do anything about that. Might be losing a little bit. Okay, they're not going to be the same. There's nothing you can do about that. Manny Machado might be regressing a little bit in terms of his swing speed. We've gone over his metrics. It's not as crazy as people think it is. There's nothing you can do about that. Jason Adams coming back down to earth a little bit now as a relief pitcher. Again, he's getting up there in age. He's the oldest player on the team. Maybe he's losing a little bit of that. A little bit. I don't think it's crazy. There's nothing you could do about that. But it's the little things that we saw with Mike Schilt that we're not seeing right now with this team. It's the stuff that you actually can control. That is where the Padres are failing, on top of some other things that they're having issues with. And I go back again to the 5th inning on Sunday, and the Dodgers are putting up at-bats and an offense that is like what everybody tries to do in October. They do it the whole year. I was talking to a friend last night. He is a very calm, not anti-Padres Dodger fan. In fact, he kind of likes the Pods. He's from here, right? His family's from LA, so we grew up being a Dodgers fan. He was like, they kind of play like this all year long. They are always thinking about passing the baton to the next guy. They're okay with taking walks. You only see that out of the Padres every once in a while. It seems like it just works out. but it's not on a consistent basis. The other thing you don't see is the situational awareness for this team makes absolutely no sense. I mean, it wasn't just last night. Like last night, I couldn't think about too many of the base running mistake. Oh, he got picked off at first. I guess that's part of it. But
caught stealing in the ninth.
The decision making of this Padres team, those are things that you can control. Those are things that you can control. You can control when you decide, to steal in the ninth inning and situational awareness opportunities. You can decide on a lot of different things. Maybe, you know what? I thought, and I didn't hear Craig Stammen's explanation for this last night, but I thought that was one of the first really major mistakes to me, or at least one that I'm really questioning with Craig Stammen in terms of decision making, was like the ninth inning yesterday, where you let Jason Adams start the first 2 innings and then you brought Mason Miller in. If you're going to have Mason Miller pitch in the ninth inning, who hasn't pitched in like 6 days, why don't you just start him in the ninth inning? I don't get it. And that, you know what? I do want to bring that up, and I'm going to get to something else in a second that I really want to spend my open on.
I've got the audio ready.
So he has his explanation on that. I don't even know. I don't know why you would do that. I really wouldn't. What did Craig Stammen say?
Is there any thought towards maybe letting Mason start that ninth inning? What was the thought process behind leaving Jason out there?
Yeah, definitely, thought about it. Felt like with what we had left in the bullpen, that was our, way we wanted to go about it. And Jason threw a really good 8th inning. Felt he was going to, started with Swanson at the bottom. It was a good matchup for him. A couple really not hard hits. So, once he got a couple guys on base, then it was time to go to Mason and see if we could close it out. And, so be what happened.
I still don't get it. I understand his logic. To me right there, that strikes me at this goes back to the starting pitching not eating enough innings, because now it's like they're trying to steal innings. They're trying to steal outs. And I've talked with a lot of baseball teams about this, and a lot of, even college teams of, okay, how can we sneak this guy in and get more outs out of him so we can preserve other arms in our bullpen, because they are being used a lot and we can't use the same 3 guys every single day. I get it. But with 6 days rest for Mason Miller, I think you still start the ninth inning. I really do. But I'm not going to really hammer too much about that. I accept that answer. Okay, not that he needs my approval. He's the one making the decisions. I get it though. Okay, I do get it. That makes a little bit more sense. But at the same time, I would do it differently. Now, last night, I do want to bring this up because this happened like a couple of weeks ago. Remember when everybody in a tie game, people were freaking out about Mason Miller coming into a tie game? Those are the same people who are complaining why he didn't start the ninth inning yesterday. That's the logic right there, right? Like, if you save Mason Miller for the 10th inning because it's tied in the bottom of the ninth, right? Like, you might not get to the 10th inning for him to save anyway. Like, the time to save the game was right there in the ninth. And then you could try your best with the guy on second. Here's the other thing, too, about the closers with extra innings now. Most of the time, I know they're high leverage guys, but a lot of the time, the closers are coming in with nobody on base. That's not to say they don't. I mean, we've seen Mason Miller come out and get 4-out save a lot with guys on base. He has done it before. It's not crazy. He is your high leverage guy. But to me, I would have just, if you were going to use Mason Miller, I just would have started him in the ninth inning. But they're trying to steal outs right now because the starting pitching can't get you innings. Let's go back to the situational awareness. I think the biggest thing the biggest problem of this team, I think can be summed up in the random ABS challenge that Manny Machado did in, like, what was it, the 5th inning or whatever it was, the 4th or 5th inning, where they burned the first challenge. I mean, just absolutely zero situational awareness. There's a time and place to challenge balls and strikes. I think now, as June is coming to a close today and July starts tomorrow, I think most baseball teams now understand when is the time to use your first challenge, and if you lose it, when is the time to use the second ABS challenge? There is a time and a place regardless of how right or wrong the pitch may be. Manny yesterday, I can't remember the inning it was off the top of my head. Do you remember what inning it was?
No, I do not.
It was like the 5th inning, I think. It was like around the 5th inning, and there was nobody on base. I'll look at the box score. There's nobody on base, and there's 2 outs. And it's like early in the count, too. It's not even like the last pitch of the at-bat, and it's close. It's the 5th inning. So in the 5th inning, Manny Machado comes to bat. It's like it's 2-0. He works at 2-1. There's nobody on base and there's 2 outs. And he challenges a pitch that's close, but it ain't that it's close. But at that point in time, it makes no sense to challenge that pitch. That's not a 3-2 pitch that you know is going to be, that could be ball 4 and start up an inning. It is literally a 2-1 pitch that gets called a strike to go 2-2. And he burns the first challenge in the 5th inning with nobody on base and 2 outs. He's wrong. Barely. He's still wrong, though. And then he swings at the next pitch and he rolls over on a ground out to shortstop. Or third base, whatever it was. Third base. You just lost your challenge on something that, even if it got flipped, yeah, I know it'd be 3-1. It would be a little bit different, slightly. That's not a time to use that challenge. You go back to the Rodolfo Duran situation on Sunday, bases loaded, 1 out. Bases loaded, 1 out, a 3-2 pitch that's close, that could potentially walk in a run. That is the time that you use a challenge. And if you're wrong, well, you know what? Who cares? You were going to be wrong anyway. If you're right, you turn a run scored into a second out. Those are the differences. When it comes to ABS specifically, they can't be up there thinking like, okay, that was pretty close. That might be a strike. Or sorry, that might be a ball. I'm going to challenge that. It needs to be, does that pitch impact this at-bat, which impacts the inning? It needs to be more about that than like whether or not the pitch is right or wrong. You have 2 of them. It's the same thing with like Mike Yastrzemski the other day for the Braves. He's going against Mason Miller, and there's 2 outs in the 9th inning, and I think didn't they get the bases loaded in that game on like last Monday?
I think so, yeah.
And they're down like 1 run or 2. I can't remember what exactly. I think it was 1 run because Michael King had a 1-0 shutout win. And the pitch is like almost right down the middle. That's the time to use the challenge, because if you don't challenge it, the game is over. And if you challenge it and get it wrong, the game is still over. But if you challenge it, magically it happens to be wrong, you extend the game. The differences of the situation. You do it already for double play depth, right? When you need a ground ball double play with a guy on first, 1 out, guy on first, no outs. I mean, you do it then. You do it in bunt defense. You do it in situational, offense when you got a guy on second. Okay? That needs to be implied with the ABS, because right now, I don't know what they're doing. I was surprised at a hit and run screwing them up yesterday. Did you see that play, Frank? I mean, it's head scratching. A lot of things with this team are things that are controllable, and that's what makes it frustrating watching them. They have shown they have the talent to compete with the best in Major League Baseball. They have. Okay? I know they lost 2 out of 3 of the Dodgers twice. 2 of those losses could have been wins. They're close games. they made mistakes because they didn't take care of the little things and they didn't control the things that they can control. It's not a talent thing. And so when you watch these games and you see what they could potentially be, yet they do not play at that level because the little things are holding them back, it makes it incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating. We see it with base running all the time with Fernandez. I mean, just like decisions to steal, decisions to tag up, decisions to be aggressive. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe it's pressing. Maybe they're worried about individual numbers. Maybe they're worried about the fact that they got the pressure on them now to not fall behind in the wild card race or not fall behind even more in the division. Well, that's, they're like 11 or 12 games back now. But there are so many times where you watch this team, Frank, and you go, a lot of kids that are playing All-Stars right now in Little League know exactly what to do here. A lot of kids are like, almost everybody knows what's going on. It's just like you want to ask why these things are happening. But the Padres have failed a handful of times this year at controlling the things that they can control.
Yeah, and that is what makes it frustrating to watch. That's what makes you really go insane as a fan, is just seeing these easy things that can be readily fixed and that can be readily changed, just not. I say it a lot. I said it a lot last year, and I've said it a lot at the beginning of this year. This is a team that just insists on underperforming until it's time to really kick it into gear, and then they play up to their potential. Last night, in some of those certain circumstances that you mentioned, those are the cases that I'm talking about, where they just insist on not doing what they should when they should do it. And you see these same situations. They keep getting opportunities to rectify mistakes, and they just never take them, which is frustrating as a fan to watch.
It's incredibly frustrating. But the frustrating thing, like we talked about, like we don't think that Manny is aging at like this historically bad pace, right? We've talked about that before. But even if he was, which he's not, and he is aging a little bit, right? I mean, he's not going to be as youthful as he was when he was like 25, 26, 27, okay? You can't control that. You can't control what these players are able to accomplish, like talent-wise, as they age. You can't control, what the talent level is of some of these guys that you have brought up, right? They are who they are. But what you can control are what you do in certain situations, your decisions on throws and defensively, your decisions at the plate, your approach at the plate, how you want to, effort level, right? I don't think they're not trying, but it's just, there's too much of this kind of, I don't know, not playing like the Dodgers did in the fifth inning on Sunday. I know I keep going to that, but they do that every single game, and it feels like the Padres just do it after the trade deadline. And honestly, that's the big difference for a lot of these teams. That is a massive difference. And the frustrating part is the Padres have talent, but they got to be able to control what they can control, and right now, they're not doing it. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. When we come back, we'll talk more about Griffin Canning's outing. We'll talk about the offense. They've created opportunities, haven't been able to cash in. Kind of a deeper look in yesterday's game as we just get started on the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Zimmerman Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Southern California recruiting, officially a war zone again. USC, UCLA, Cal are all fighting to keep local talent home. But the rest of the country is not backing off. Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Notre Dame, they're all still coming into SoCal and landing elite prospects. And the biggest shift, UCLA, suddenly one of the most aggressive recruiting programs in the region under new leadership, while USC is still leaning on its brand but facing much tougher competition. Add in NIL money and the transfer portal, and coaches say recruiting has completely changed. In Southern California, is SoCal still the heart of West Coast recruiting, or has it become the most competitive free-for-all in all of college football? For years, SoCal was the backbone of elite college football recruiting. Now it's becoming something different, a national battleground where everyone shows up and nobody can afford to miss. USC is trying to lock it down. UCLA is surging with new energy. Cal is rebuilding its presence in national programs, still flying in and taking elite talent every cycle. So is this area of the country that we're in still a home base for local programs, or has it become open territory for whoever recruits its best year to year? And to me, I mean, I look at this, and as somebody that coaches high school football here in San Diego, I think it's very difficult to try to keep as many of these kids in town as possible. I know a lot of Aztec fans always go, we got to try to keep our best here in San Diego. It's hard to do that when you have the likes of Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama and Texas and Notre Dame and Oregon and a lot of schools that can pay for a lot of money when they come in and can get a lot of these kids. Plus, on top of it, I think it's hard to sell local schools here to kids that are going to go to college in comparison to what it's like to be in a college town when you become the biggest show in the state. Where in California, college athletics is not like that.
No, it's not. And like you hear from recruiters, from high school coaches around the county, and you're around a lot of them, that this is starting to become a battleground, a real true battleground, that SoCal has not been this intense as far as recruiting in years. And looking at a school like USC, coaches across the region still view USC as the most recognizable brand in Southern California, but opinions are split on how they're operating. Some coaches say USC has improved its focus under new leadership and recruiting operations, especially locking down elite West Coast talent, and being more direct about conversations in NIL, but others still think that they're still leaning and still coasting on that reputation that they built. So for USC, this is a fight, especially for them, of you're at the top, we're going after you. And for USC, it's how do we stay at the top as far as the local schools and local programs are concerned.
I disagree with the most recognizable brand recruiting.
No, it's not.
And it's not. I don't think, some coaches might think that they're living in the past. I mean, the reality is, when USC was in its heyday, like even before Reggie Bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the kids growing up like, oh, USC. And like they were the dominant West Coast figure. And after the recruiting violations that they got sent the hit with after the Reggie Bush stuff, it set them back so far that, I look at even kids that were 25, they're out of college now. They were born in 2001. They don't remember Reggie Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 25-year-olds. What do you think about like 14 to 18-year-olds now? Who do they think about on the West Coast for football in the last
Oregon now?
Oregon. It's Oregon. Oregon's like the top school. USC keeps living in the early 2000s and the 80s and 90s, and the Marcus Allens and the O.J. Simpsons and Reggie Bush and the Carson Palmers, and USC has had to use NIL and pay to try to get kids this way. And this is coming from a coach too, by the way, that has a USC commit on our team, right? Now that kid's kind of like very 90s anyway, like so it doesn't surprise me that he'd be in on USC, but it's been a long time since like the Junior Seau of the of the time, and some of these local guys staying. And here's the other thing. I wonder if this is part of the equation, because LA has always been SC football over the pro teams, but now you got NFL teams in LA. Like, is USC still like the most popular thing in LA in the fall?
UCLA is starting to come up on the rise as well. They've got a new regime coming in. High school coaches are saying that UCLA has been more aggressive and more energetic than USC has been in recruiting these kids. They're more staff are going to games, stronger relationship with players and coaches, more transparency, increased out-of-state recruiting success, and a noticeably higher energy at practices and visits. So UCLA, especially now, as you mentioned, for the kids that don't really.
Live for the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're going to have Bob Scanlan joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline to start the 11 o'clock hour. It's not big bang banking. It's better. Situational awareness for the team has not been very good so far this season. And that's what's frustrating is the things that the Padres can physically control, they're not controlling. That's the part that makes it even more frustrating because when they actually do the little things and they have that pass the baton offense and they grind out at bats and everything like that, they look pretty good. And we've seen them do that this year in wins. Unfortunately, it's not on a daily basis, and that's a big problem for this team. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Gary in Escondido. Gary, what's going on?
Yes. Thanks for taking my call. I just said, finally, we're addressing this. Somebody it takes a host on 97.3 to address this problem of the fundamentals. And you don't have to look any further than Exhibit A, which is a glaring example, is Toronto versus the Dodgers. And Toronto lost because they didn't play smart baseball. They had just as good hitting. They had just as good defense, but they get caught off base. They getting caught in situations where they don't even know the rules of baseball, and then they turn around and lose. And they had every opportunity to win. If it was my decision, I would have fired John Schroeder after the game was over and said, "You're gone. I don't care. I'll eat his salary." That was just unacceptable. What's your thoughts, please?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is you unfortunately, and I appreciate the phone call, Gary. You see a lot of teams like that, but the teams that continue to win, not only are they really talented and cost a lot of money, but they also do things the right way. And they what I mean by that, I mean they play the game, and they're fundamentally sound. They control what they can control, which is a lot of coach speak, if you will. But Frank, when you look at Major League Baseball teams, the ones that are good right now, taking advantage of opportunities, playing good fundamental baseball, and the ones that don't, they don't take care of the little things. They're not fundamentally sound. And I don't want to. The team you watch makes those mistakes. Teams near the bottom of the standings right now have made those mistakes, and unfortunately, they turn into funny videos on social media because of how bad some of these have been.
Yeah, and that goes back to the play over the weekend as well. I think it was Friday night when Manny let the infield fly drop. That's one of those plays where I don't think many of us knew that rule on hand. If the ball if the ball bounces foul, then
yes, that's why
the infield fly.
Umpires say infield fly if fair.
But I also don't understand. That's going to be an infield fly. It's an obvious infield fly call, and you still let it drop, and then you risk losing that out by letting it drop because you're so close to the line. Those are the things that I fully understand, letting the ball drop on a pop-up like that. I've seen it before. You look like you're settled under it. You can get a cheap double play, especially if you're near a base. That I completely understand. But bases loaded, it's obvious that it's going to be an infield fly.
Well, and Manny's defense on that play, they didn't call it.
They didn't call it?
No, not until like the very last second. They did not call it. They had not called it yet. And then like right before it hit the ground is when they finally said it. And that's when Manny had to go pick it up real quick.
Yeah, that's foolish.
So if they don't call it, it's only an infield fly if they call it. If they don't call it, it's even though it was, they would have missed that call. And, it would have been, Manny would have just thrown it to home and it would have been an out there. But
I was under the impression that they'd called it earlier.
I use that differently though, Frank. I think that's it. You see that Manny is savvy when it comes to base running. He's savvy when it comes to defense. He is a very smart baseball player.
Yes.
That's why like his ABS challenging makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it's probably because he didn't grow up playing with an ABS, obviously. He still doesn't really fully know it. You could tell based on his answers, I'm not going to do this anymore. He's not really into it. And it just, he doesn't have the situational awareness for the ABS. But he's not the problem on the bases. There's other players that have for me getting thrown out at third base on a ground ball to short, right? Like that's a problem. Fernando gets thrown out of the bases for just being way too aggressive again and not picking your spots. Collectively as a team, there's too many guys that make mistakes situationally across the board in different settings that encapsulate everybody just not being fundamentally sound across the entire team. That's a big that's why here's the deal. People want to know why this team has the record that they have. How does this team win games? How do they you want to know why this team has the record that they have? Just above mediocrity in terms of a 500 ball club, right? Because they're 3 games above 500. They're incredibly talented. Anybody that says differently on that is just they're just being negative just to be negative. This team is incredibly talented, but they don't do all the team things right. They don't have the team at bats all the time. They don't play fundamental baseball all the time. When they do, they look really good. When they don't, they look really bad. And you know what you get when you get that? You get the North Turner Chargers. And that's what this team kind of looks like. They look like the North Turner Chargers. You know, North Turner's great offensive mind. Players love them. I mean, when North Turner was the head coach here in San Diego, he would like not be very good in the regular season, and then they'd do well in the playoffs. He was like the anti-Marty Schottenheimer. Marty Schottenheimer, discipline, take care of the little things, all that stuff. And then they wouldn't have the talent in the playoffs. Or they would, North Turner, they were like fun, flashy, whatever, highly talented players coach. They would find dumb ways to lose all the time. And it's that situational awareness that we haven't seen out of this team. And you can't just like turn it on. I mean, the teams right now that have those top level standings, right? The best records in baseball. I look at the Dodgers. I look at the Braves, right? I won't say the Yankees because that's just going to piss him off. I say Philly, Milwaukee. Like when you watch Milwaukee play, Frank, that team's pretty dialed in. They got some good young talent, but they play collectively in terms of like their batting order. They grind out the at-bats. They treat every at-bat like it's a big deal. They take care of the fundamentals. You're not seeing a lot of Milwaukee Brewers bloopers.
Nope.
You're not seeing that with Atlanta. You don't see that with the Dodgers. In the American League, you know why the White Sox are 44-39? Because they got Will Venable doing things the right way. Now, this is not all on Craig Stammen, who is a brand new manager, but collectively as a team, this team is talented, but they don't control what they can control. And that's why they're above 500, but they're not making up any ground. And we've seen that out of this team the last couple of years. Now, it was a little bit different with Mike Schilt. They kind of like, they did fundamentally things, like they were fundamentally sound defensively, but they still had the same at-bat problems that this team has. And it's so inconsistent. That's why this team has the record that they have. They're incredibly talented, but they don't always control what they can control. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll continue the conversation. Continue with your phone calls. If you're waiting on hold, stay there. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to those on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. World Cup officially in knockout chaos. Nothing is safe anymore. Brazil, Germany, France, England, the United States, Argentina, all still in it, but every match now is win or go home. And the matchup are insane. Brazil and Japan was a fun one on Monday. Japan jumped out to a 1-0 lead. Brazil scored 2 unanswered with that go-ahead goal coming in like basically the final minute of stoppage time. Germany and Paraguay has been a dogfight in Boston on Monday as well. Netherlands, Morocco coming up. USA, Bosnia Herzegovina on Wednesday. Every single one could flip the bracket. And here's the truth. Superstar power still matters, but depth is winning tournaments right now in soccer. Teams advancing aren't just flashy. They're structured, they're disciplined, and they're built to survive 90 minutes of pressure. One mistake, one counterattack, and your World Cup is over. And that's why this tournament feels different. It's not just about who's best. It's about who can survive the longest under chaos. And the tournament is starting to heat up, and we got some key matchups this week as we saw Japan and Brazil go down to the wire on Monday.
Yeah, they were about to go to extra time in the same way that Canada was about to against South Africa on Sunday in the first of the round of 32 games. Brazil scoring in the 90th minute +5, giving them a 2-1 lead. Germany-Paraguay going on right now. Paraguay had the lead in the 50th minute, 51st minute, and then Germany scored to tie that game up, and it's still going on as we record this right now. Netherlands-Morocco is going to be a rematch-style tactical battle with defensive grit on both sides. France versus Sweden. You get to see the French play against one of the top teams in the world. England versus the Democratic Republic of the Congo. A very, very big matchup for England, expected to control possession, but the pressure of being in knockout matches changes everything. Spain versus Austria, the great story of Argentina versus Cape Verde. There is your Cinderella run through the tournament this year. And of course, coming down to Wednesday, the United States versus Bosnia.
That's going to be a fun one on Wednesday. We'll see if the United States can make it to the round of 16. But what we've learned so far, I mean, obviously the early knockout results have confirmed a few things. First, there's no easy round of 32 games anymore. Even matchups that look lopsided on paper are producing some tighter than expected score lines. I mean, Brazil and Japan, right? I mean, that's already like kind of a more traditional power against a team that has knocked off giants before, as you mentioned earlier today on the show. The other thing is depth obviously matters more than star power. I mean, teams with rotation flexibility get to survive those late game fatigue better than teams relying on just one or two attacking outlets. And third, defensive discipline is still king in tournament football. One mistake in transition or more missed marking assignments is ending campaigns instantly, as we have seen so far. So what to watch for in the round of 32 that put on round of 16 implication? I mean, Brazil potentially meeting the Netherlands or Morocco. They survived against Japan. That makes the next round even scarier against two better clubs, if you will. France and Germany on a possible collision course deeper in the bracket if they both make it out of the round of 32. England's path opening or tightening depending on execution. And the United States facing an enormous test if they advance, obviously with Spain being on their side of the bracket. And Argentina is obviously trying to manage some pressure as the knockout rounds intensify. It's not fun going against the biggest Cinderella story either, or the people's champ, if you will, in Cape Verde. So not just watching matchups anymore. I mean, we're watching an entire tournament future get shaped in real time. And that's what makes the round of 32 so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the United States, if they play Bosnia, if they beat Bosnia, they're going to get the winner of Belgium and Senegal. Senegal, solid team. They're always competitive in the African Cup, always doing well. Belgium, though, they're on the back end of that golden generation of Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne. They are on the back end of that. They're out of their prime. It's most likely going to be their very last shot if they even make the rosters due to age in the next World Cup. And then you're right. You're going to be facing either Portugal, Croatia, or Spain in the round of 8 in the quarterfinals. So those are some very, very key and difficult matchups to be able to go through, but also interesting to see all of the host nations all made it through to the knockout stage. Mexico has a very, very good chance of getting past Ecuador. So it'd be awesome to see all of the host nations get through to the round of 16 as well. Just a great, either side of the bracket, no matter where you look, something exciting is going on. And to your point against Cape Verde, against Argentina, I don't expect them to do what they did against Spain and do what they did against Uruguay, but Argentina should not be overlooking Cape Verde at all.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of upsets so far in the World Cup. We've seen a lot of fun soccer. We've seen a lot of evenly matched soccer as well. So that's going to make the round of 32 even that much more exciting to watch. .10:40 on a Tuesday. Padres trying to get game 2 after losing game 1 yesterday, 3-2 on a walk-off in the 9th inning. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marquez. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Bob Scanlan will join us in the next segment. Talk about this Padres team in Chicago. See how they did. It's a tough road trip for them. Again, this is the grind that we were talking about up until the All-Star break. Padres got to try to tread water. Losing the next 2 games, one of the next 2 games would not be very good. We talked about it yesterday. It's a very important series for the Padres to have some type, just not have a losing tiebreaker against a team you're competing with for the wild card. You already lost the season series to Philly. Didn't even win a game. Lost the season series to St. Louis, and a loss tonight would lose the season series to the Cubs. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on?
Well, I wish I had some, magic potion that would make all this better for everybody, but I don't. Reluctantly, Braden, from where I sit, I have to say that in as much as I was not a Mike Schilt fan, this team did the things that you're talking about fundamentally much better than the Craig Stammen team. And I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I think the evidence is starting to show. I think one of the challenges that Craig has, and this is being kind, is that the lens that he looks at the game through, I think still to a certain extent is the player lens. And he's failing to see at this point the fundamentals that need to be worked on and executed on a regular basis for this kind of team and the profile of this team to do what at least they think they're capable of doing. I'm not in total agreement about the talent level. I think there is talent, but I think it's the wrong kind of talent when you have a lineup profile that basically is similar. Every single player here is a singles hitter. And you go up and down that lineup, it takes a lot of different players to generate runs. So that's where I sit right now.
I appreciate the phone call, Kevin. Make sure you put your clothes in the dryer before you leave. It's not like it was like doing a load of wash right there. Is that a laundromat or something? What's he doing? Again, like just based on looking at the teams from last year to this year, without saying anything more, last couple of years, team was a little bit more fundamentally sound in certain areas. Again, the at-bats have been different. They haven't been able to consistently do that. They usually do that after the trade deadline, which you can't afford to do. You got to be able to do that at the beginning and work your way through. Who's in charge of that? Don't necessarily know. This year, it just seems like a lot of those things have kind of fallen by the wayside. I just feel like this Padres team hasn't been able to control. They haven't controlled what they should be able to control. And I think that's the biggest difference. We still have, we got anybody else? Let's get out to Steve in Poway. Steve, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Listen, I'm just going to give one little thing that I saw over the weekend that to me makes a difference between the Dodgers and the Padres. Who was the number one free agent last year, do you think, in baseball? Wasn't it Kyle Tucker?
Kyle Tucker's probably the guy who hasn't done very well this year for the Dodgers.
Right. So that's my point. So the number one free agent was Kyle Tucker. Did you see where he batted in the order for the Dodgers? He was batting 7th. That's the difference. The problem is you put Manny Machado and a clutch situation all year round. He has killed this team for 40 games. And the difference between the Dodgers is they're not afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. They're doing what's right for the team. I'm not saying took Manny out of the game. I'm saying they should have moved him out of that spot, put him in a spot where he's in 7th place. If he starts hitting the ball, bring him up. He killed this team for at least 40 games. And when I saw they had Kyle Tucker batting 7th, I said, there's a team that's trying to win and doing the right thing and not worrying about whether they're going to hurt somebody's feelings.
I get that, Steve, but at the same time, like, who are they moving up in replace of him? Like, they have other all-stars that they can move up higher in the order. I mean, it's not like the Padres have Andy Pages that they can move into the 2 spot. They don't have Teoscar Hernandez that can move up there. They don't have, some of these other players too. They have guys that they have pulled up to fill in spots. Now, if you want to say that's a depth thing, that's fine. But, the Dodgers have all-stars that they can move up into those spots. So as much as it is like a move Manny Machado down in the order kind of attitude, like, that's fine. I just, like, I don't know who you're going to move up. Miguel Andújar and Gavin Sheets, I guess you can roll with that. I mean, you had Samad Taylor batting 2nd. I understand what you're coming from on that, but Frank, I mean, just for like clarity here, it's a lot easier to move Kyle Tucker down in the lineup when you have, I don't know, Shohei Ohtani and Andy Pages and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, there's a lot of dudes that can bat in the top 3 in LA.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was my first thought when he brought it up is you're going to have Gavin Sheets bat 3rd every single day. You're going to have Miguel Andújar, Freddie Freeman bat 3rd every single day. That is a luxury that the Dodgers have to be able to do that. While I don't necessarily disagree with the premise, that is a luxury that very few teams have, is the ability to be able to do that without completely sacrificing one of the top spots in the lineup with a guy who should not be up there.
Right. So here's the other thing too. So like everybody's on Jackson Merrill, right? Well, they don't care about hurting Jackson Merrill's feelings, right? Jackson Merrill hit what, 6 last night?
Yeah, they've moved They've moved him down to 7.
How about this? Your bottom 4 guys in the lineup last night: Merrill, Bogaerts, Fermin, and Cronenworth. That's your bottom 4. So if you do move Manny down, who's going up? And how far is he going to go? You going to move Fermin up in the order? I get the premise, right? Like, it's like, I don't think they're moving Manny. I don't think they're not moving Manny down because they don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't think so. I don't think that's the biggest difference between the Padres and the Dodgers. This is the other example too that I like to point out on the difference between LA, and this is where the money really makes up, is the Dodgers can buy their way out of mistakes, and they can eat money when things don't go well. They'll just replace them with somebody else, and then they'll write the check. They don't have to continue to force Kyle Tucker in the lineup every day. They have the luxury to replace him with somebody that's going to be the same production as Kyle Tucker, just not getting, get the same production what they're paying Kyle Tucker to do. They have those guys. So it's a little bit of a difference there. I think the biggest difference is the way that they go through the order of Ohtani's not afraid to work a walk. Freddie Freeman's not afraid to pass the baton to Mookie Betts, right? Like, those to me are bigger differences than, Kyle Tucker struggling, let's bat him 8th. Like, he replaced that. Bogaerts 2 for 3 yesterday, batting 7th. Like, fine. They moved him down. He hit a couple. Like, I know a lot of people probably don't want to see him batting 3rd. You can't have everybody bat 7, 8, 9. Somebody's going to bat it near the top of the order. And the other thing with LA, too, we don't see Blake Snell or Tyler Glasnow like ever, and they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars. The Padres can't do that. They can barely do that right now with Pivetta being out and Joe Musgrove being out. There's different context there. But I get the premise. Again, to talk more about the subject, the thing that's frustrating, Frank, we talked about it a lot with this team, and I thought it showed last night, is they are as constructed, as talented as pretty much almost every team in Major League Baseball.
More so than most, yes.
More so than most. They have the talent that should be one of the top 12 teams in baseball to make the playoffs, right?
Yes, 100%.
That's what makes it frustrating is they are not playing up to that potential because they're not doing the things that they can control. And it just bites them, right? How many of the mistakes over the weekend bit the Padres in the rear end at the end of the game?
A lot of them.
A lot of them. And good teams capitalize on those mistakes. So the two things that the Padres have done all season, one, have made mistakes, and two, have not taken advantage when the other teams have made mistakes. But I look at this team, Frank, and knowing the players that they have, and I don't know who's, this is not a blame thing. This is just this is the massive problem for the Padres. And they need to find a way to create an offense that passes the baton, to get guys to trust the guy behind them, to grind out at the end, to do what we've seen them do a couple of times already this season that have led to wins, and be able to do that on a daily basis, like the teams that are at the top of the standings are doing. They're doing it each and every day. You can't just flip a switch and hope that August and September is going to be great for us. They've gotten too comfortable with that working out the last couple of years, which is never a guarantee.
No, and it comes to a point where you got to miss it at that point. You have to, in order to buy into a change, you have to lose something. And if that is this team missing the playoffs this year, in order to believe that, hey, we can't just wait on the final 2 months. We can't just tread water until the final 2 months. Then so be it. And then next year, maybe they come out with a pep in their step, doing what they should have done, and we sit there and go, well, if you would have done that last year, you'd have made the playoffs. There is a fundamental issue with this team that is not getting addressed nor fixed at this point. And that is the most frustrating thing to watch, how it plays out on the field.
Especially when it's like almost every member of the fan base is like sitting and going like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Like, why are they doing that? Somebody in the YouTube chat, Blue Media in the YouTube chat, if you factor the Dodgers out of this picture, how did the Padres stand up with other teams in the Major League Baseball? They've shown that they're like toe-to-toe with everybody else in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
I mean, they've shown that. They haven't, gotten the better of everybody yet, but they're not going out there getting just obliterated every single night like they used to from 2011 through 2018, where it's like they have no chance. So the other thing, too, is comparing yourself to LA is never going to be good. But right now, though, you're not even worried. Right now, here's the thing, though. Going back to what Blue Meanie said in the chat, you kind of do take them out of the picture. You want to know why? Because you're not going to chase them down in the standings. Nope. You have to worry about everybody else in baseball, and right now you're not doing that successfully.
Especially with the way you're playing right now and how far back, 10, 11 games back now? The Dodgers are a distant thought. They don't matter at all. It's over. You're fighting the wild card now.
How bad are the Diamondbacks that they still haven't passed the Padres yet? For as poorly the Padres have played in the last 2 months, and Arizona still has not passed them yet in the standings. Mm-hmm. That's a blessing right there for the Padres that they have. That's where you have to make it hurt. I mean, the Padres could have just pulled themselves away from Arizona at this point in time, but now you're sitting in a situation in which you are, now a game and a half back out of a wild card, or did they get lucky and St. Louis lost? No, they're a game back behind St. Louis and Miami, who they haven't played yet. They're one game out of the wild card standings. Again, they have to win these next 2 games.
With this record, by the way, and someone just said it, the Padres would be leading the division if it wasn't for the Dodgers. While that is statistically and factually true, right now, if the Padres were in the American NL Central, they would be in fourth place, and they would be in 4th place in the NL East.
Yeah, the
You're
National
actually-
League not very good.
You have a blessing that you're in the National League West right now, that you're in second place.
It'd be more of a blessing if they're in the American League West. We'd be talking about how great this team is in first place. When we come back, Padres broadcaster Bob Scanlan joins us, gives us a report from Chicago. 11 o'clock hour when we come back. Broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan had some fun World Cup action yesterday. It's been crazy. The round of 32 has been bonkers. We got, what do we have? Cote d'Ivoire and Norway.
Ivory Coast and Norway, yes.
Yes. Cote d'Ivoire is there. How you say it in French. How they say it. There was it 1-0 Norway right now? I think so. World Cup action. We interrupt your World Cup action to bring you San Diego Padres action. And joining us now, who's out there live in Chicago as part of the broadcast team, Bob Scanlan joins us usually on Thursdays, but with everything, all the moving parts, we got the morning show on Thursday, quick show Wednesday. We're off Friday because of the 4th of July holiday. With all of that, we moved our weekly with Bob Scanlan to a Tuesday today. So he joins us now on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Bob, what's going on? How's your Tuesday going?
Oh, it's going fantastic, guys. Thanks for squeezing me in a little bit earlier in the week. And thank goodness that Brazil pulled that out yesterday. Because I think I've shared with you, my wife is Colombian, my son-in-law is Brazilian. So we've got a lot of World Cup action going on in our house. But, man, has it been fun, huh?
Yeah, it's been some tight games down to the wire. Brazil getting the goal in like the final seconds of regulation there. Pretty exciting stuff in the World Cup. But we want to talk, obviously, about Padres baseball. And for you, Bob, I mean, you get to go back to Wrigley Field, place where you made your debut in that, for that team for the Chicago Cubs. You played there for 3 years. What's it like for you being able to go back to Wrigley Field? I know you only spent 3 years there, but I mean, what a cool place to start your major league career out in a traditional baseball cathedral like Wrigley Field.
Yeah, thanks for noting that and asking, because it is a cool emotional event every time I come back here. And it actually surprises me after all these years and as many times as I have returned now, but both as a visiting player after I left the Cubs and as a broadcaster now, that I get goosebumps when I walk into this place for a lot of different reasons. First of all, it's just an amazing venue, right? I mean, it's one of the most historic places and it still has this incredible charm. And I'm still surprised every time I go back to it, how little it's changed. I mean, even though they did put up the new big billboards and everything, I think they've done a fantastic job of preserving that old school feel, even though they've been able to modernize it. They've been able to modernize it without taking away the charm. And I think it's a magical place. If you're a baseball fan and you haven't been to Wrigley Field, you definitely have to add that to your list along with Fenway Park for the obvious reasons. But from an emotional standpoint, as you noted, this is where I first got an opportunity to get to the big leagues after 7 years in the minor leagues. There's times over that trip where you're not sure if you're ever going to make it or not. And then I get traded to the Cubs, and then shortly thereafter, I get called up to the big leagues. And, when I got there, just to be able to put on a big league uniform, even though when I got there, they said, hey, don't get comfortable. You're only here for 24 hours, 48 hours at the most. Still, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm putting on a big league uniform. And, to walk out of that clubhouse, walk down this little tunnel towards the dugout. And as I'm getting closer, I can start to see the field. And it was just the most unbelievable, magical, powerful thing to walk into that dugout and look at that green grass and look at that and just say, man, I'm in the big leagues. Even if it's just for a day, I finally made it. So, of course, I ended up spending 9 years in the big leagues, 3 years with the Cubs, as you mentioned. I met my wife in Chicago. The building that I met her in, and you can see out in right field. So, there's just a lot of cool emotional things that I get a chance to enjoy and reflect upon when I come back to this great place. And unfortunately, it didn't end with a win for the Padres yesterday, but still a fun venue for me. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah. I know you don't like talking about yourself, but what's your aside? I might already know. I mean, obviously meeting your wife's probably the best memory, but aside from that, what's your favorite memory about, being a young 24 to 26-year-old in Chicago, being a Cub?
Well, yeah. And just as you described. So first of all, in Chicago, it's a great sports town. And being a Cub is something just unique. And even though I just remember being there for my first week, walking into a restaurant and somebody immediately recognizing me, even though I was a rookie nobody, And oh, Mr. Scanlan, welcome. And next thing I know, I'm not waiting in line. I'm getting sat down at a table. I've got appetizers and hors d'oeuvres showing up. I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. So, and plus back then we played a lot more day games than night games. They were still making that transition of, hey, Wrigley Field now has lights, and how many games do we play during the day to keep that tradition going? Now, of course, they play a lot more night games than day games. It's more like the rest of the league. But at that time, we still played a lot of day games. And what was cool is you play your day game, and then when the game is over, you still have your evening to go out and enjoy this fantastic city and enjoy it in a way that was, it was special. It was unique for me as a member of the Cubs. So, yeah, a lot of good memories here, and it's a very fun town, especially if you're a sports fan in general, but even more so if you're one of the athletes here.
Sorry, with Bob Scanlan, broadcaster of the San Diego Padres, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. All right, got the little trip down memory lane. I'm sure it's a fun place to be every once in a while for you, Bob. But let's talk about last night's game. Let's talk about this San Diego Padres team. Obviously, another tough loss. They've now lost, a handful in a row now after winning 4 straight games last week. This is a tough stretch for them. What was your overall takeaway from last night's game, even though they start to seem like it seem to be the same game over and over again that they can't snap their way out of?
I thought it was a well-played, fun, hard-fought battle by both teams, really. When you look at it, neither team did good at coming up with a big hit when they needed to with runners in scoring position, but both teams had plenty of runners on throughout this game. Even though the Padres didn't get that big killer blow against Imanaga, I thought that their approach was actually really good. They did a great job of not chasing his split fingers out of the zone or fastballs up. And granted, they chased a few. I'm not saying they were perfect about it in any way, but what they did a great job of is minimizing those. And when he did make a mistake in the zone by either hanging a split finger higher than normal or not elevating his fastball as well as he can at the very tip top of the zone, the Padre batters took advantage of it. And that's what you need to do, is jump on mistakes. And they did that last night. They had 6 hits on his split finger. He's only given up more hits than that one time in his career. Last year, he gave up 7. Normally, he gives up 1 or 2 per game. So for the Padres to get 6 hits on that split finger, I just thought it was a testament to the approach that they had, the ability to take advantage of the mistakes that he did make. Granted, they didn't come up with the big blow, as we just mentioned, but the overall approach and the execution, I thought, was generally pretty darn good. So hopefully that continues to carry forward in terms of the approach. If you're doing the right things in terms of what you're dedicated to trying to do against a certain pitcher on a certain day, is it going to work every time? No, but you're giving yourself a better chance of having success. And I thought that was a good sign yesterday. So that was the positive out of it. Griffin Canning, I thought, threw the ball much better this outing. 2 things that I thought he did exceptionally well that had been a problem for him previously. Number one, when he did fall behind in the count, first of all, I thought he managed counts better in general, but when he did fall behind, did a really nice job of using his off-speed pitches, the cutter, the slider, the changeup at times, curveballs also, to get himself back into the count, record some outs, or even up the count. He had 5 outs in the first 3 or 4 innings when he was behind in the count because he was able to effectively locate his breaking pitches and get outs on it. I thought that was a big plus in his favor. The other thing that he did a better job of was managing the traffic. Up to this point, when he had to work out of the stretch or had runners in scoring position, the opponents were hitting like 350 up to 500 with 2 outs and running in scoring position. He just wasn't managing things well out of the stretch. Yesterday, he did a much better job of that. Had runners on various times, as we mentioned, but he didn't let things get out of control. So I thought those were the 2 main positives coming out of that game. As for the outcome at the end, man, it's heartbreaking, right? And Jace Bowen making that great play to gun down Swanson, trying to score from third. And that was kind of an interesting play, which we can talk about in more detail if you want. But I don't think it was a no-brainer to send him there. But anyway, they did, and I get it why they did. But a great throw by Jace to gun him down by quite a bit. And but then the last play where Jace has to go to the wall, wind is blowing out, he's trying to read this thing, he reaches up, and then it almost looked like the ivy had it not been there, he probably makes that catch. And so it was sort of this vintage Wrigley field having a factor, and some of the nuances and characteristics of that field with the ivy on the wall becoming a factor in the Cubs getting their 10th walk-off of the season. So, well-fought game. I'm bummed that it didn't go in the Padres' favor, but it was an exciting and fun one to watch.
The sky looked pretty tough last night. I mean, we saw Merrill, we saw Samad Taylor kind of get confused out there in the outfield. You throw in the Ivy, and that's something that, you don't really think about too much. But, you've played there for 3 years. You played there as an opponent. Obviously, you were on the mound. But how difficult is it at this point of the year? Because at the beginning of the year, it's like, it's just there's a bunch of sticks out there. It's not bloomed yet. And at the end of the year, kind of the same thing. But in the heart of the season, it's that you got a live organism on the field, and it kind of messes with some guys. How fast can players get adapted to playing at Wrigley? How difficult is it, from just your perspective watching and maybe seeing guys, or maybe your teammates have said something about it, about playing in the outfield at Wrigley Field, dealing with that brick wall that it also has ivy on?
Yeah, you described all the elements, right? And it is one of the most difficult fields. There's other fields that have more nooks and crannies and angles and whatnot that you have to worry about, or they got a brick wall, and then they've got a screen, and then they got padding, so you have to read the different angles and how the ball may come off. Other parks have more of that, but what Wrigley has is what you noted, which is, first of all, you've got a brick wall, okay, and no padding on it, and it's certainly a factor for guys going back, and it affects certain guys more than others. Let's be honest. Some guys don't want to have anything to do with running into a brick wall. I get it. And there's other guys that play with reckless abandon, but it's a thing. Number two, you've got the ivy out there, right? And early in the season, like you said, when it's cold before it shows up, it's not as big of a factor. It's really interesting too, because it shows up almost overnight. I remember one time we left on a road trip. It was still barren on the wall. We came back from the road trip, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the ivy. So it's in like 7 or 10 days, the sun came out, it warmed up, and there it was. But it's certainly something that guys have to deal with. The other part is, as you noted, the wind. And I think Wrigley is the field where the atmospheric conditions affect a game more there, can have more of an effect than at any other park in Major League Baseball. When that wind is blowing in early in the season, when it's cool, it will knock the ball down. And balls that get crushed just don't go anywhere. And then this time of the year, in the summertime, it's blowing out. And you see what happens. I mean, routine fly balls end up drifting and catching the basket or going into the stands. I would say it's at least a 60-foot difference depending on which way the wind is blowing on any given day. And then the other factor, which I just mentioned briefly, is that basket. So even if you're an outfielder, you do fight the wind, you do fight the ivy, you are standing there, you've got this basket hanging above you that can also affect the ball, and as you're trying to track it. So you put all those things together, and on top of it, in talking to one of the outfielders yesterday, he was saying, the other thing is the dusk here can be really tough because of the way the lights are at Wrigley.
Yeah.
So, and we saw that. You mentioned it. Samad Taylor and both Jackson Merrill had difficulty picking the ball up off of the bat because of those sort of twilight conditions. So just a lot of factors that go into it, and certainly a challenge for visiting players because they don't have to deal with it and aren't as used to it on a nightly basis like the Cubs outfielders maybe.
Talking with Bob Scanlan, broadcaster for the San Diego Padres. He's out there in Chicago with the ball club as we talk about last night's game and what's been going on with the Padres. I don't want to this next question is not really the decision, more so kind of why that they decided to do it yesterday. So yesterday, they let Jason Adam go out there for the 9th inning, and then he got into a little bit of trouble on 2 soft contact ground balls. Mason Miller came in as the closer, and a lot of fans asked, why wouldn't you just have him start the inning? And, I thought Craig Stammen gave an answer that makes a lot of sense. It's, we try to get some outs at it based on how our bullpen is. How much of the Padres, because again, Canning pitched a lot better, but he's not getting deeper into games. The starting pitching's not getting deep into games. I mean, that's obviously been a big factor to the bullpen, especially where they're at. I mean, explain to maybe some fans out there that might not understand why it was so important for the Padres to try to, sneak outs out of certain guys and why teams do that a lot. They try to get maybe a couple extra outs out of a guy to save other arms in the bullpen. There's a lot of that strategy going on that a lot of, us fans might not see on a daily basis.
Much more so than in my generation, where as a starter, I was expected to go 7, 8, 9 innings, right? If I could go 5 or 6, they'd be, Bob, that's really nice. And we've got a great opportunity for you to be the long man in the bullpen. It's like, you were expected to go 7, 8, or 9 innings. right? And so the bullpen management was still a thing, but we didn't have as many guys getting as burned out and fatigued as can happen nowadays, where guys are having to cover innings from the fifth inning on. And this has certainly been a topic for the Padres, as you've noted, for a couple of reasons. First of all, as we know, that the starting rotation has not been going deep in games in general. And number two, the offense has not been scoring a whole lot of runs. So not only are you going to your bullpen early, but Craig Stammen has been forced to use his high leverage guys more often than almost anybody else, because there are no blowout games. Every game is close. Every time he's going to the pen. I mean, I look at all of Walker Buehler's outings. How often do we see Walker go, he's fine through five, and then in the sixth inning, it's not that he can't probably go deeper, but when it's a one-run game and he gives up a walk or a base hit or something, and you've got three lefties coming up, if you're Craig Stammen, you're not sleeping well at night if you don't go to that bullpen, which is one of the best in baseball, to put an end to that rally at that point and preserve your one-run lead, right? So he's using that pen quite a bit, and not just using the pen, but he's using the back-end guys a lot. And he personally experienced what that's all about in 2021, where the bullpen was being used every single night. And as you may recall, all the way up through July or so, everything was fine and dandy, and they were just, mowing guys down. And then all of a sudden, at the end of July, early August, reality kicked in, and all of these guys got fatigued because of the workload that they were having to bear. And I can just speak from personal experience as a reliever. Once you reach that point, it's over. I'm not going to say you're done, but the rest of the year is a complete struggle. It's not as though early in the season where, all right, let's give so-and-so a day off. Let's give him a couple of days off. Shoot, man, we can give him 3 days off and he's fresh and he's ready to go. When you reach that point of fatigue because you've been overused at that point in the season, Braden, you don't come back. You can rest for a week. You can rest for 10 days. It's too late. You're already exponentially fatigued, and you're never quite the same. You're just hanging on for dear life for the rest of the season. And Craig has experienced that personally. So he understands what's going on. He understands the direction that things have been going with this bullpen usage. He understands the problem when you reach that breaking point with guys, and he's trying to avoid it. And one of the ways you try to avoid it is you try to spread things out. And especially with your back end guys. Now, if you got a guy like Jason Adam where you feel like I can get 2 or 3 more outs out of him and I don't have to go to Mason Miller again, then you're going to try to do that. So it's not always about it. There's just a lot of factors that go into these things. And a lot of it is the long-term preservation of your back end guys. Who can give me a couple of extra innings tonight versus the other guy that might not be able to? And how do I keep all these guys as healthy as I possibly can so that if we are playing baseball, God willing, at the end of September, going into October, these guys aren't all done. So that's been the challenge. Craig is aware of it. He's trying to manage it. And it's something to keep an eye on as the season goes on. You either got to get more innings out of your starters. You got to start getting some runs out of your offense to give these guys a little breathing room so Craig doesn't have to go to the high leverage guys every night for 4 innings. Otherwise, a precarious situation is looming.
Last thing I want to ask you, Bob, and it has nothing to do with this last game, but we've seen Michael King go up and down a little bit, and it's obviously been some command issues, but he has shown a lot of great signs of being a really good pitcher. Walker Buehler's been exceptional, trying to work Griffin Canning back along. We'll see what happens with JP Sears as he's up and with maybe some of the guys returning, but the biggest head scratcher to me right now is just what Randy Vasquez was at the beginning of the season to what he has done in recent games and why things have gotten to that point. Obviously, I think some of it probably is a little bit of command, but what's been your breakdown of Randy Vasquez and why things have maybe gotten to this point, or like what he has been working on to try to get back to what he was at the beginning of the season? Because I think it's in him. What we saw at the beginning of the season, there might be a lot of people that go like, oh, that was just kind of a fluke. I believe in Randy Vasquez. It's kind of head scratching how things have fallen for him so fast here in this season.
Yeah, it has been surprising and confusing and frustrating. And to your point, it's not as though he was just good for a flash of a couple of games. It started at the end of last season, right? September, when he got called back up, it was the dominant Randy Vasquez because he had started getting himself in shape. He'd started making some adjustments over the course of last season, and all of a sudden it all came to fruition in that last month. Boom, there he is. He's popping 96, 97s on the fastball. He's locating it better. And boy, wasn't that cool? Let's see if it can come back next year. And it did, because he took care of himself in the offseason, worked his tail off, came into spring training, still popping 96, 97s on the fastball. And it just carried over into the season, right? In the first 7 or 8 outings, look at this guy. And what was really interesting is coming into this season, the Padres had won more games with Randy Vasquez on the mound than any other pitcher other than Dylan Cease of the previous 3 years. He didn't always get the win, but he almost always kept the team in contention to win the game. And all of a sudden now here over the last 6 or 7 outings, it's sort of been this downward slide, and he's not been able to reverse it. I don't think it's stuff necessarily. I think for me, just watching it is straight command. It's not just missing by a few inches here or there. It's been a lot of times aiming outside, the ball goes inside, aiming inside, and the ball goes way outside. I mean, he's missing spots by a lot, which A, makes it difficult because you're behind in the count a lot more. B, it's tough to get back into the count because you're not commanding anything. C, even if you do throw a strike, if you didn't get it to the side of the plate that you wanted to, and your catcher really can't count on you making the next pitch where you want to, how are you sequencing? You know, you have a game plan coming in, but now you're not really putting things where you want to, and it's difficult to start setting up. This pitch is going to set up this pitch, and now we can go 3 inches further outside. And even if he doesn't swing, now we can come back inside. You can do all those things. You can have that chess game if you're locating and commanding your pitches. He's not been doing that lately, and not doing it in a rather extreme way, which makes it very, very difficult. So why that's happening, I don't know. I know that they've been talking to him about some mechanical things. Obviously, they had been talking to him also a little bit about becoming a little less predictable. I know that was a topic several outings ago, but really for me, the last few outings has just been more, hey man, you got to throw the ball where you're intending to throw it. If you're not, it's going to be a short day for you. And that's unfortunately what's been going on. What the fix is, hey, we got Ruben Niebla and the staff are some of the best in baseball trying to figure those things out. I'm sure they're working on it, and hopefully we see it turn around, because we all know Randy, when he's good, is an important part of this rotation. They're going to need him because he's a guy that can keep you in ball games on a consistent basis when things are going well. They need him back.
I mean, I'd love to ask. I'm sure you would agree with this, but we got to get going here, Bob, and I appreciate the time. But you know what? Just like it is with hitting, and you understand this being a big league pitcher yourself, it's not a matter of like, oh, they should be able to adjust and be able to command a little bit better within 1 or 2 starts with working on it. It takes a lot of time at the big league level. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit next week. We'll see how Randy Vasquez does. But Bob, I appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the time in Chicago. I know you're a busy guy and a lot of work. You don't get to get a full like vacation mode in this city, but it's great that it's great that you get to go back, and I'm glad that you get to go down memory lane a little bit when you go back there.
Yeah, thanks, Braden. I appreciate it. The only fly in the ointment was I'm walking around Wrigley yesterday, and I look up into the stands, and there's these 3 guys. I see their silhouettes. It looks like Woodsy, Ben, and Paulie. What, is that them? Sure enough, they're out here. So, hey, you guys are doing a great job of picking up their slack. So, way to go.
Yeah, we'll try to do that Thursday morning, too, try to bring the heat. We appreciate it, Bob. Have a good trip and good, safe flight back to California on the continuation of the road trip.
Thanks, Braden. You and Frank, keep up the great work. Appreciate it.
Bob Scanlan joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. We do have to get to break. We're way over. When we come back, some interesting comments from Ken Rosenthal. We will get to that later on in this hour. We also will talk about what Bob Scanlan said about Randy Vasquez when we return. 2026 NBA draft didn't blow up with chaos. It split the league into 2 clear philosophies. Win now or wait later. Memphis came out swinging with one of the strongest drafts in recent memory, turning picks into Cameron Boozer, Isaiah Stewart, and extra assets in a masterclass of maneuvering. Sacramento and Washington also leaned into star power and identity building, while teams like Phoenix quietly stole value late. But not everyone was aggressive. New York and Denver drew criticism for prioritizing flexibility and cap space over immediate help, even in a draft loaded with usable rotation talent. San Antonio, Chicago, and Brooklyn all showed upside, but the real questions about fit and spacing. The takeaway, this wasn't a flashy draft. It was a philosophical one. Teams didn't just pick players. They picked timelines. Headliners of the draft. The biggest winner by consensus was the Memphis Grizzlies, who turned a complex web of trades into a massive talent haul, landing Cameron Boozer at number 3, flipping down the board for extra assets, and ultimately adding Isaiah Stewart, plus depth picks that gave Memphis both upside and roster toughness. It's kind of multi-layered draft night that reflects strong front office clarity. But not only that, they also parted ways with Ja Morant. They have now traded him to Portland. So a new era in Memphis after the draft.
Yeah, and that happened right after the show, or right as the show was ending. On Monday, they traded Ja Morant. So, yeah, this is a complete and total tear down, refreshing of the organization for the Memphis Grizzlies. And it started with a very, very good, very, very successful draft night. Cameron Boozer is going to be a very, very good player in the NBA from what I've seen.
Other very strong drafts. The Atlanta Hawks leaned in athleticism by drafting Kingston Flemings, but raised questions by duplicating skill sets in the front court. Still, their willingness to stay disciplined in a volatile draft earned some praise. Oklahoma City continued their asset-heavy philosophy, landing Daimara and Bennett Sturts, while managing flexibility around the crowded center rotation. It was another process over perfection draft for a team that rarely deviates from a system. And the Suns quietly made one of the best value moves in the entire draft, grabbing Pete late in the first round. Pete's versatility and strength made him one of the biggest steal candidates in the class. You had some mixed reviews with Chicago and Brooklyn. San Antonio continue to build from the front court around Victor Wembanyama. But their questions remain about the redundancy and injury risk of the players that they drafted. Knicks, Pelicans, and Cavs did not do very well because a lot of their drafts raised some eyebrows. But as we talked about in the NHL update, a lot of these won't be defined until years down the road where you see value and you get to see these guys play at the next level. To me, the biggest takeaway for the summer is the offseason. And the offseason for the NBA is almost more thrilling than the regular season. And today there were reports about potential. We saw the Ja Morant trade, right? But today there were reports about LeBron James and potentially with Draymond Green not opting into his contract with Golden State, the Warriors are interested in bringing in LeBron and potentially trading for Anthony Davis. I mean, what a couple of crazy moves that would be if Golden State pulled that off. Whether or not it would work, it would definitely be crazy enough to talk about over the offseason.
Yeah, they're also talking about Kawhi Leonard possibly going back to Toronto. Right. A trade there. You're seeing Ben Simmons preparing for a return to the NBA. There's a bunch of other storylines.
Giannis got traded to Miami.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We already had that earlier this offseason.
I mean, it's been an insane off season already for the NBA, and it's only going to get crazier at this point.
Do you think LeBron goes to Golden State? Do you think it's a good fit? Do you think with everything moving around? First of all, if the Lakers got rid of LeBron and Anthony Davis, it'd probably be best for them at that point in time. But I mean, if you're LeBron, do you really want to leave the Lakers? I mean, what is going to Golden State going to do? If you're the Warriors, what's the point of bringing LeBron in at this age? I don't get it.
You would say a trade like that would be like, oh yeah, we have LeBron now, but you've already got Steph Curry. You've got a guy who's just as big a name and who's younger and is still having an impact in the league. That just seems like a small time move by Golden State, a team that has very recently won NBA championships. That's a move that I would expect out of a New Orleans or the Wizards when they sign Michael Jordan. That doesn't seem like something that would benefit Golden State in any way, shape, or form.
And the only reason why Golden State would trade for Anthony Davis, because that was the only way LeBron said he would sign with Golden State. Because again, LeBron still has to control what's going on in the organization that he is in. I don't necessarily know that brings Golden State back to where they want to be. If they wanted to do this, they should have done this a long time ago. But with Draymond Green opting out or not taking the opt-in, it opens up. $11:30 on a Tuesday. We only got a couple minutes here. We're going to get back on track. We went a little bit long with Bob Scanlan, but, I just...
Of all the guests to go along with, Bob Scanlan is the one.
Right, correct. We got to get all
best
6
part
foot,
of our week.
7 inches.
Jeez.
He's so tall.
It's not.
You know what he said? That I almost said something about it, but I didn't want to. You know what I said? Or you know what he said? He's like, oh, yeah. And like you're walking around and like, in Chicago, it's so great. People start to notice you as a rookie. I was like,
yeah, it's kind of hard to not notice the
miss you,
6'7" guy.
Bob Scanlan's baseball reference page. He's a player, 6'7", 215 pounds. I don't know how many. I've been to Chicago once. I can't imagine there's a lot of 6'7" dudes walking around where you're like, oh yeah. You think that guy? You think that guy's an electrician? What do you do for a living?
Don't do the 6'7" bit. Don't do the 6'7" bit.
I'm
Don't
not doing. No,
6'7"
stop. That is an automatic technical foul. Automatic. It's at the point now where if it's like 6 or 7 in terms of a number, I now say 7 or 6. Today, I like installing some defensive stuff. All right, in this particular look, we want you to bet heels at about 6 to 7. Immediate, they start freaking out. They start doing this.
You know what?
Immediately, and I'm like, I gotta remember not to do that.
Yeah, you know what? That's on me.
Yeah,
I should know better by now.
Yeah. Yeah, Blue Meanie in the YouTube chat, basketball player. Yeah, I wonder how many people. I wonder how many people in Chicago back in 1991 was like, this guy the Bulls?
No, I think they knew even actually. That was a little bit before Jordan, and there was a little bit before the run.
Yeah,
it's like people would have known if you were on the Bulls, especially in the mid 90s. People would have known if you were a reserve. Probably had their house numbers.
Go to the. Come on, man. He was the size of.
I'm not saying he couldn't have been because of his size.
Dude, people would look at, there's a lot of people that are not very inclined with sports. There could have been some random person. Do you play for the Bulls? No. I play for the Cubs.
Do I look happy?
On the 1990-1991 Chicago Bulls team. I'll look at we'll look at the 92 team.
Hold on, wait a minute. I got you.
They won that year, right? They did.
I don't know when I don't remember.
NBA champions. Yeah, they won that year. On that one, so when Bob Scanlan was playing in Chicago for the Cubs, the Bulls were legit. They had Pippen. Yeah, there it is. They had Jordan. I think it was before. I don't think Kerr was on the team yet. But that Chicago Bulls team, Bob Scanlan was only smaller than 4 or 5 players, it looks like. He would have been fit. He would have fit right in. He's taller than B.J. Armstrong, who was a point guard at 6'2". Taller than Bob Hansen, who was a shooting guard 6'6". Taller than Craig Hodges, who was 6'2". Taller than Dennis Hopson, who was 6'5". He's taller than Michael Jordan, who was 6'6". Taller than John Paxson, who was 6'2" on that team. Taller than Rory Sparrow, who was 6'2" on that team. He was just shorter than Scottie Pippen, Mark Randall, and they had 3 7-footers on that Chicago Bulls roster. It's not that crazy to say, like, hey, I think I play for the Bulls.
No, but again, when a team is so good and so dominant, you know the face of the equipment manager at that point.
Just random people.
The way
I don't know.
Bulls overtook that city. Are you kidding?
Maybe. I don't. You know who like the starters are. I don't necessarily know if you know everybody on that team. I don't necessarily know, like, because I'm thinking of, like, this is what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking like my mom. Okay, like my mom kind of knows because obviously, I mean, she likes to say her nickname's Dizzle. She likes to say Dizzle knows ball, which is fair. Dizzle does know ball, but there is a handful of times where, like, there's some players that she doesn't know. right? I mean, I'm thinking about her. Like, would she know who some of these players were? Like some of the backup guys? I don't necessarily know that's true. Like, how about this? I know it's different because they're not like a World Series team right now, but like if Jace Bowen walked down the street, do you think like my mom would have any idea who that guy was?
I can tell you right now, Tyler Kolek is never buying another beer in New York ever again. ESPN has him listed as the 4th string point guard for the Knicks.
Here, you know what? I'm going to counter your argument with exactly that situation. Wasn't he the guy that like almost got arrested during the parade because they were like, this guy's not on the team? That's all I need to tell you with. Like, oh, what do you mean? They know the face of the equipment manager. Bro, New York didn't even know that this guy was on the team.
You know what?
Come on. He almost got arrested.
There comes
for
a point.
Jumping the fence. He's like, I'm on the team. They had to get the person. No. He's on the team.
You know what? There comes a point where every head must bow. You know what? You got me on that one.
Got him.
You got me on that one.
You can't even say with your own team.
You know what? Touche on that one.
And with that, we're going to go to break.
Yes.
Got him. When we come back, we'll hear what Ken Rosenthal said about what he's hearing on the trade market. There might be some Padres fans after last night that don't want to see the Padres buy. Well, bad news for you. We're officially halfway through the 2026 MLB season, and one thing is clear, the second half is going to be wild. Dodgers are still the team to beat despite getting surprisingly little production from Kyle Tucker. Meanwhile, Brewers have quietly climbed to number 2 in baseball and suddenly look like a legitimate World Series contender. National League is stacked. Braves, Phillies, Cubs, Cardinals, and Padres all battling for position, but over in the American League, it's chaos, but not for good reasons. There are teams under 500 that still believe that they can make the playoffs because the wild card race is so crowded. That means the next month is huge. The trade deadline is coming. Contenders are preparing to buy, and one aggressive move could completely change the playoff picture. First half gave us plenty of surprises, but the second half is where champions are crowned and championships are won. We have officially reached the halfway mark. What are some of our key takeaways?
Dodgers are good. The Dodgers are still one of the best teams in baseball. They're still the gold standard. Milwaukee really can just continue doing what they've been doing and still be solid, leading the National League Central. The Cubs have been so up and down this year. As mentioned on the show, they've had 2 10-game winning streaks and a 10-game losing streak in there. They've been all over the place. And the National League East, really crazy with Atlanta getting out to that big start, that big jump start. And now the Phillies are starting to knock back on the door again, showing that they really are not the team that they seemed to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
when they fired their manager at a time when they should have fired their manager.
They should, yeah.
Unlike other teams in the National League East.
Well, they should have probably fired him before the season even started. And again, like they were off to a tough start because they played the 2 best teams at the time. At the time, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And then all of a sudden the Phillies came back to regress back to the mean of where they're supposed to be. The annoying part is, as you mentioned last week, Phillies fans are going to talk about how great they are, how they overcame everything by firing their manager. But the reality is their schedule got easier. And then they started to really get into a groove. But the National League is loaded. That doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to win the World Series, but the National League is loaded with the Braves, with the Phillies, with the Cubs starting to come back after digging themselves in the hole. The Cardinals are still hanging around. The Dodgers are good. The Brewers are good. Padres are right there in contention. And even then, there's other teams that are on the outside looking in that are good that might be just a little bit early on their rebuild. This is a very loaded National League, and there's a lot of teams that could potentially make the playoffs out of this league.
Yeah, and it's always competitive, which means every game means something. The National League Central still has 4 teams over 500, and for the Padres right now, that's really not good because you're losing tiebreakers to those teams, and you're playing the Cubs now, and then the Dodgers later on this weekend for more of those tiebreakers. So it is a very, very difficult league to get ahead in right now. That National League is going to be a gauntlet, and I I don't think it's too far fetched to say that the winner of the World Series is going to come out of the National League this year.
Yeah, but knowing how bad the American League has been, it would be a surprise that not only American League team wins, but also one that was under 500 for most of the season. And that's where we're at right now in the American League. Unlike the National League, the American League's wide open for other reasons. It's not because a lot of teams are good. A lot of teams are very average and bad. I mean, Seattle was at the top of the AL West, but now it's the Texas Rangers, and they're 500. And they've only, and the Mariners had played slightly over 500 ball for most of the year. They're now under 500. Cleveland has remained competitive despite massive offensive struggles and injuries. Tampa Bay has cooled after its blistering start, but still owns one of the best records in baseball and one of the best home records too in baseball. Even below teams below 500 like Minnesota, Houston, Detroit, they still believe they're in postseason race because the wild card picture remains incredibly congested. That parity could make this one of the most fascinating trade deadlines in recent memory. It just seems like everybody is in it in the American League, and not because everybody's good.
No, and teams that were clear sellers like Minnesota and Houston would have been clear sellers last year because of how bad the rest of the league is. Now those guys that you would have thought were going to be on the market, the Christian Walkers of the world, the Joe Ryans of the world, those guys now most likely are going to stay and possibly get guys added to those rosters to try to help them out, because they're a couple pieces away from not just getting over 500, but because of getting over 500, they're getting into a playoff spot. So it's going to really change the landscape of the trade deadline as that comes up at the end of next month.
So are stars heating up at the right time. Manny Machado is finally starting to break out of his early season slump for the Padres. He's delivered a lot of clutch hits over the past week. Kyle Schwarber continues to launch home runs at a historic pace in Philadelphia. Kansas City's Jack Caglione has emerged as one of baseball's hottest hitters during June, while Chicago's Pete Armstrong is putting together an MVP caliber month on both sides of the ball, which leads to a very much exciting series between the Padres and Cubs this week. $11:42 on a Tuesday. We have an update on the World Cup there, Frank.
We does.
Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2. I'm repping the new shirt today, by the way. What do you think about the new shirt?
You'll see it in a second.
The blue and orange one.
There you go.
That looks
good.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's very comfortable, very soft. You could click the links in below to buy said shirt, and we'll ship it to you. The blue and orange is nice. I like it. It's a 90s look that I've always liked. So if you go to Shopify, you can also Google search Braden Surprenant Show merch. It'll pop up. It is on our YouTube page as well. So we got the new kind of like throwback 98 looking shirts that would look great, by the way, too, on City Connect Fridays. Support the show. I got the OTL shirts in, or at least the comps of it. I'm going to send them to you. Maybe we'll throw them up on the YouTube here. Mm-hmm. So since I am sponsoring the teams, if you will, I have I decided, and we made the last year was that I wanted the shirts last year for OTL to be pink and like a light blue, but they had like a royal blue, so it kind of looked like a Dodgers shirt, which is not super cool. Mm. So this year I have.
You emailed them, yes?
I just text. Oh, hang on. I just sent them to your phone.
Yeah, I see them. Oh, they look nice at least.
They look great. There was a little bit of confusion on like the certain color for like the logos and stuff, and I sent the design out, whatever. But I got I got one I could wear to football practice. I got red and gold one. You can insert what brand I'm repping there, and then I have a purple one with the gray font and a little bit of that red accent on the Surprenant part of the show.
Oh, I'm emailing to myself. Oh.
So I might have some extras of those. Those would be exclusives if we decide to put those up. But we will be repping those at Over the Line next week. I should have some for you too, Frank.
Thank you.
You want the purple or the red?
Either one, honestly. They both look good.
Yeah. Clean. TCU exclusive. But if you haven't done so already, again, I'm wearing the new blue and orange one. We have the brown and gold still. Fridge Watcher has a shirt. We know Rod's got a shirt. Trav Gundy in the YouTube chat said he was going to buy a shirt, didn't buy a shirt. But they're available on Shopify. They're very comfortable. They're very soft. You have a couple of these too. They're very nice.
I have all of them actually. Well, not any of the new ones. I have the original ones.
Yeah, I got to get you some of those.
Here's your red.
That's the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The nice little red and gold. Go Dons.
There's your purple.
And there's the purple one on YouTube as well. We might have some exclusives on that. Some extra t-shirts for you. Again, you can check out the Shopify. If you want to look on there, you can also subscribe to the Shopify page, and it will notify you when we have new shirts and everything like that. But without further ado, because we're going to get to Ken Rosenthal in a second. Let's get our World Cup date quickly, and then we will get to our sports thread.
Oh, we're doing that now?
No, we're just going to give you the score of this game.
Oh.
What do we got going on here?
Oh, God. It just happened. Happened. Just changed. All right. So it was 1-1 just a second ago. And apparently Erling Haaland has just scored, making it 2-1 Norway with about 5 minutes to go in regulation.
Is that the gigantic guy?
Yes, it is. Is the guy who, like, if you picture a Nordic Viking, that is Erling Haaland is who shows up.
Don't get Jerry. They're playing in Jerry's World right now.
Yes.
Which is the Dallas Stadium, which is not in Dallas. I digress. Don't get too excited. He might try to sign him to be a tight end for the Dallas Cowboys.
The problem with that is he's like 90 pounds. He may be like 6'5", but he's 90 pounds.
He's thrown around in the trenches. That's a big goal. That literally just happened when we looked up. So Norway's up 2-1 on Côte d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast in the 87th minute of play. We'll see how Ivory Coast responds. If it's anything like the other games of the round of 32, not so fast. You better lock in.
Yeah, no kidding.
Who knows?
This game is far from over.
The game is not over. The game is not over. The game is not over.
We still got about a half hour left, apparently.
Yeah. Holy Toledo. All right, let's get to what's going on in the sports world. Got some interesting NBA news today, too, Frank.
Yes, we did.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that, too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, what do we got going on in the sports world today?
Well, we said it in our NBA update video that I'm not sure if it's played yet, that the NBA offseason is more or less more entertaining than the regular season.
Number 1.
It is.
And that has proven to be the same as LeBron James has very kindly. LeBron has very kindly told the Lakers that he plans to play elsewhere. I'm assuming that LeBron is a free agent this year. He will return for a 24th.
Do you want to know if this show pays attention as closely to the NBA as the afternoon show? I think that was the correct. I think that explained it right there. I guess that means is a free agent. I have no idea. I don't watch this.
But then again, I mean, LeBron told the Cavs he wants to get every major star in the league tells the team that they want to get traded, and they trade them away. They bend to their wishes. So, like, I don't know if is he a free agent or is he just saying, yeah, I'm not playing for you guys this year.
He is an unrestricted free agent.
So he is
He is a free agent.
LeBron James will return for his unprecedented 24th season, but it will not be with the LA Lakers. During our break video, there was a discussion about whether or not he would possibly join the Golden State Warriors for this upcoming season.
He had mentioned that he would only do it if the Warriors traded for Anthony Davis, and then the Warriors put out and said, we're willing to do that.
And Draymond Green declined his $27.6 million option this morning. Or yesterday,
which opens up the door for them to potentially add James and
so it sounds
Anthony
like
Davis.
So it sounds like LeBron is going from SoCal to NorCal.
I mean, at this point, like if you're a Lakers fan, like wouldn't you be like excited about this? I mean, a lot of Lakers fans I know are just getting tired of LeBron. I don't necessarily know if this is good news or bad news. For some Lakers fans I know, they're ecstatic right now that they don't have to pay the money for LeBron James and they can just move on from this as he is now. He's spent 8 years there? 8 years?
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been that long. He played
God.
8 seasons for the Lakers. And he's got what? They won one championship with him there?
Yeah. In the shortened season.
In the shortened Disneyland bubble season. It was probably time for the Lakers and LeBron to move on. I mean, LeBron wants to continue his career. We'll see where he goes. I just feel like a lot of diehard Laker fans are kind of stoked about this. It's Luka's team now. Okay, like whether or not the Warriors can go find Anthony Davis and put him on the team will remain to be seen. But it's Luka's team. We'll see what the Lakers do from here on out. What's Bronny do? Is he going to be part of the Lakers organization still? Or is that going to be part of the deal? I'll sign with you, Golden State, but you got to bring Bronny in here.
Brother, I don't know. I don't know. The kid's going to have to learn at some point.
NBA offseason more than I love the regular NBA season.
Number 2.
We'll stay in Northern California. The drama between Brandon Ayuk and the San Francisco 49ers continues to escalate as Ayuk released another video claiming that his relationship with the organization is beyond repair. He reiterated his desire to join the Commanders, criticized his former agent, and even claimed general manager John Lynch recently visited his home. With training camp approaching, the standoff shows no sign of ending as Ayuk insists he has no intention of returning to the Niners at this point. At this point, should the Niners simply move on from him, or is there still a path to repairing the relationship?
I don't know why they're trying to repair the relationship at this point.
I don't either.
I really don't. I mean, I thought Brandon Ayuk was solid as a role player to a team that was loaded with talent. And he had Deebo Samuel, and they had George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, and they were loaded all over the place on the offense. And you know what? A lot of those guys aren't there. Well, we know that Deebo's old now and he's not there anymore. I don't know why you would try this hard for a guy that didn't play at all last year. In 2024, before he got hurt, he had 25 receptions for 374. He was a solid receiver, but not like a number one wide receiver. Brandon Ayuk, he was a good kind of role player, kind of support cast slot guy if you want. I don't know why you would be willing to do this for Brandon Ayuk. You could find players that are just as good as Brandon Ayuk out there.
I don't either.
Number 3.
Let's stick with the NFL, shall we? The Buffalo Bills have decided that O.J. Simpson will not be honored at the team's new stadium, despite a Hall of Fame career, historic accomplishments in Buffalo. The Bills say Simpson is not the right fit for the family-focused area celebrating franchise legends, making him a notable omission from the team's new display. The decision reflects the organization's effort to balance Simpson's on-field legacy with the lasting controversy surrounding his life off the field, basically surmising that the juice was no longer worth the squeeze.
He draws the foul.
Show yourself out.
Should teams honor players solely for their accomplishments on the field, or should off-field actions factor into whether or not they are celebrated by a franchise?
I think there's a time and place to display your best players from on the field, and I think there is a time. I think there should be a little bit extra for honoring them, like with a statue or with a retired number or with something that everybody could see at a stadium, right? Like, I think all those players, yes, they were good, but in order to be honored and recognizable and real, especially in a brand new place, I think you have to factor in the off-field stuff a little bit, because it is an honor to be recognized by an organization, and you want to show this is the greatest of the great. This is how great this guy was. It's hard to have that for people that aren't the best.
That was a red card that I just took with a guy one-on-one with the keeper. I will take that foul every single day.
What did Ken Rosenthal say about the Padres trade deadline? We'll get to it next.
If it matters in this city, you're hearing about it right here.
The Michael King contract, super creative. I think it's a great win for the Padres.
Real opinions, real takes, no wasted time.
It has been the little things that have outdone San Diego State, and that's where they got to improve.
Live and local on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show starts now.
New lunchtime hour on The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Ken Rosenthal's out there talking about what he's heard on the rumor mill about the Padres and the trade deadline, what A.J. Preller might be up to. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. We are broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how, but before we get to that, at a game go final in the round of 32, let's get to today's World Cup date.
This World Cup so far has been absolutely mental. It has been insane. We start off Brazil versus Japan. This went final during our show yesterday. Japan took the lead in this game and held it for quite some time. Brazil then comes back with a minute left, the dying moments of the match. Gabriel Martinelli comes away with a shock.
Down that right-hand side. Cut back and not taking advantage of it. Tanaka's given the ball away there. Bruno Guimaraes. Oh, and here's a chance. Martinelli! Brazil have won it! They've stolen it right at the death. Brazil are going through.
Unbelievable game and an unbelievable reaction as well. That was the second game of this knockout round, both of which threatened going to extra time. This one actually did go to extra time, and it took late goals to get it done. Paraguay, in the 42nd minute, takes a 1-0 lead over Germany. Kai Havertz, early in the second half, draws the game level again. A questionable VAR decision in extra time takes what would have been the game-winning goal away from Germany. It goes to the penalty shootout. Tied 3-3. Here's how the game sounded.
Been in this position for Paraguay. But he scores! Paraguay have done it! Paraguay have won it! And they booted Germany out of the World Cup!
That was the biggest reason why I thought that France was going to get through Germany. They just did not look like themselves the entire tournament. This is not the Germany of old that we saw win the World Cup a couple of years ago. Final game of the night. Again, another crazy one. Netherlands versus Morocco. Cody Gakpo for the Netherlands scores in the 72nd minute. But it's Issa Diop for Morocco, just a minute into added time, scores to tie the game 1-1. We go to extra time. So all of the games have now either threatened or gone into extra time. No winner after extra time. We go to the penalty shootout once again. Netherlands scores the first. Morocco misses the first. Netherlands misses the second. Morocco makes the second and third. Netherlands makes the third. They both miss the fourth. Netherlands misses the fifth. Ismail Saibari steps up with the game on his boot.
Yes!
Well, that was the definition of laying out, let the moment be the moment. Morocco takes the win. They boot the Netherlands out of the tournament 3-2 on penalty kicks. And just earlier today, Ivory Coast dropping to Norway. Norway now 3-0-1 in the tournament. Erling Haaland with the game winner in the 86th minute. So all of these games have come down to the wire and have threatened in the final 10 minutes to go to extra time. It has been unbelievable. France. I didn't update that one. France will play Sweden coming up at 2:00, and then Mexico will take on Ecuador at 6. Both of those games will be on Fox later today.
Are you going to acknowledge this?
No, I'm not.
You're not going to acknowledge this?
Nope.
Nothing in the YouTube chat by Juan?
Nope. There's nothing that Juan ever posts that's worth acknowledging.
Wow, that's rude. Rude. Foul for being rude.
He draws the foul.
No, don't turn it down.
That was I just left it.
He draws the foul.
That was a cheap foul to take. That was not the hard-earned foul.
No, that wasn't.
Of the OJ one that I took. That was a cheap one.
That was a cheap foul. At Juan's expense.
Yeah, it was.
Juan Ruiz shooting 2 at the line. Okay. I was glued to the television for Germany and Paraguay. And how about that? Paraguay starts up, they're 6'6" goaltender. Their goalkeeper is huge. First shot in PKs by Germany, and it's just like, see ya.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure they were going to cruise it, but you got to give credit to Germany for not backing down in that one moment. I mean, they forced it to go to the extra ones. What a finish in that contest, and I'm sure Germany's upset about their goal getting erased there late in the contest. But the World Cup matches in the round of 32 have been awesome so far, and a lot of the favorites are. They didn't all lose, but a lot of the favorites are getting pushed to the edge right now.
The limits, yes.
Absolutely. And I know I'm sure like Team USA beating Paraguay 4-1 gets people some excited. The RPI right now for Team USA is probably through the roof at this point in time. They probably just went up the net. Their net ranking went through the roof yesterday with Paraguay beating Germany, but it doesn't necessarily correlate all the time. What was your biggest takeaway from yesterday's game specifically? As two of them went down to PKs, and one of them could have gone down to PKs.
It's never over until that final whistle blows. That's really all there is to it. It is not over until the final whistle blows. You have to keep playing. You play through everything, and you had incredible opportunities. Now, these weren't just 1-1 laughers where it was just like, could have gone either way. It was boring, nothing much happening. Both sides are getting chances. Norway's doing the row right now. Both sides are getting chances. Both sides have the energy up. They are into this tournament and are playing as such. These are matchups that you expect to see in the quarterfinal or the semifinal. It has been unbelievable. Tomorrow, you'll be on tomorrow for an hour, yes?
Yeah, I'll be on for 4 segments tomorrow.
Okay, so from 9 to
I am 9 to 10:15 tomorrow.
Yeah. So no World Cup date tomorrow. England will take on Congo tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Fox. Belgium, Senegal will be at 1 p.m. on Fox, and the United States versus Bosnia will be at 5 tomorrow. And the United States will get the winner of that Belgium-Senegal game if they beat win. Bosnia, yes.
That will be fun, especially since it's back-to-back. There hasn't been too many of those yet. It's been back-to-back games of teams that are about to play each other. It's been like a day or maybe like the morning and then at night. But
let me see where that bracket lies, actually. All right, so Canada will play Morocco, and now we know that Brazil is going to get Norway.
Those are our two
that we know for sure.
Our two 4th of July games are Canada, Morocco, and then Paraguay, and whoever wins France and Sweden,
which is coming up next.
That'll be the 4th of July games for us.
I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if Norway beats Brazil.
Brazil was a little testy there against Japan. I mean, they scored, and then they needed to score like in the final seconds yesterday, but that game was closer than it needed to be.
Yep,
for a team like Brazil,
100%.
And to be honest with you, Germany looked kind of iffy leading into this tournament and the entire tournament, with the exception of Curacao. That was the only time you're like, oh, maybe Germany's back to what they've been. Yeah. But I mean, they haven't really shown out in their last couple of World Cups.
No, they won it. I think it was in 2010, and it's just ever since then it's been. They have looked. I mean, 2014 they were still dangerous. 2016 they were. 2018 they were still dangerous. But these last two World Cups, they've looked kind of off. Even after getting eliminated by Japan a couple of World Cups ago, it's still. I mean, they have looked off. And as we mentioned yesterday, it was not your. It's not your great grandfather's Germany.
Okay, foul.
You said it.
I said it off air as
they
joke,
won in 2014, not 2010. My bad.
I have to look. Oh wait, so Mexico plays Ecuador tonight.
Mexico plays Ecuador tonight. Yes, in Mexico City.
Is it win or lose? Juan will be wounded tomorrow, Birdland. Is it win or lose if that's the case? Because Juan has been wounded the next day after Team Mexico plays in all three of the group stage. All three matches of the group stage.
I don't think they've played. If they make it to the quarterfinals, I think it will be the first match this entire tournament that they have not played in Mexico City.
They're playing in Mexico City today?
They're playing in Mexico City today, and if they win, their round of 16 match against either England or Congo will be in Mexico City.
Were those predetermined, or did they let Canada and Mexico be able to host?
Canada played
regardless if they won their pool or not, or whatever.
Canada played in L.A.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yesterday, on Sunday, they play in Houston on the 4th. So no, it's been luck of the draw for Mexico to not have to leave Mexico until the quarterfinals.
Oh, okay, good for them.
I think they might have played in Guadalajara in the final game.
Against South Korea, they did.
Yes, they played in Guadalajara, but they've been in Mexico City the rest of the time. They're going to be in Mexico City tonight, and they'll be in Mexico City on the 5th if they win tonight.
High altitude makes it difficult. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We'll get to that trade deadline talk when we come back.
One victory lane, climbing out of the truck. Make some noise one more time for your race winner of the Navy 250, Wayne Ray.
12:17, broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. Had Bob Scanlan on earlier today. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. We need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. We were going to do that in our next segment. If you want to try to take me down in some sports trivia, give us a call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you could take me down, you would be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Town and Country Resort, and a $250 food and beverage credit. Work on your resting vacation face this summer at Town and Country Resort. 3 pools and a 4-story water slide named Twister. Make Town and Country a family favorite. Rates start at $199 per night exclusively for fan listeners. Visit towncountry.com/thefan to book now. All right. Let's get to what Ken Rosenthal said on Foul Territory about the San Diego Padres a little bit. It's not going to be like major breaking news, I don't think, but it sounds like AJ Preller already started making some phone calls. Here's what everybody's favorite journalist in town, Ken Rosenthal, had to say.
That's a really interesting team at the deadline for any number of reasons. One, because of the way they've played, which has been disappointing. And their biggest need, you would think, and really is starting pitching, because their position lineup is pretty good. They have some areas they can go get, yes, an upgrade. But the other X factor is AJ Preller and the way he generally operates at the deadline, which is in a frenzy. And then there's a third X factor, which is new ownership. And what kind of latitude from a payroll standpoint does Preller have? Other teams have told me he is signaling that he will have financial latitude and flexibility, but we won't know that until we actually see it.
Interesting stuff there by Ken Rosenthal. I mean, everything keeps gearing, Frank, to the Padres being able to spend more money, the Padres being able to buy at the deadline. We continue to have the same approach here going into the trade deadline, despite wins and losses here each and every day. But if the Padres are within 3 or 4 games of a wild card spot, they have to go for it based on the way their team is assembled. And with the Padres potentially having some more funds or being able to take on payroll or whatever, it makes the Padres a massive wild card for the trade deadline yet again.
Yeah. No, and that's, you expect it at this point. You expect them to be aggressive at the trade deadline, and you give AJ Preller more money, whether it's the new owners that are giving him a wider pocketbook, or if he's expecting to move some guys around. I mean, it only makes him more dangerous.
And when you start to look at what they could potentially do, or, even if you just entertained I just feel like at this point, at the conclusion of games, there's a reason why there's a 24-hour rule, because emotionally you could say some outlandish things, and anything that is said on social media or tweeted out by fans, within a couple of hours of a loss, of blow this team up, of this team's not good enough to go to the playoffs, of got to trade away these guys, let's load up on prospects, okay? I think you just need to factor that out of your brain. But if you want to look at it from that perspective, before we talk about, what they could potentially do big picture wise, when you start looking at what they could potentially trade away, I don't think you're going to get exactly what you think you're going to get in terms of like these prospects that are so great that everybody wants to covet, right? I mean, who is your most valuable asset to trade right now? If you had to guess, like, who's your most valuable asset to trade right now?
You're not trading Ethan Salas, so either be Schoolcraft.
No. I mean, like, if you're going to sell at the deadline. Let's just entertain this for a second. Who do they have that's going to get you a top prospect? A top 50 in baseball prospect?
Miller.
It's only Mason Miller.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only guy. Mason Miller is under team control for the next 4 years, whatever it is. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. This year and 3 more years. Okay? He is your most valuable asset in terms of a trade. But the problem with that is, let's say you do trade Mason Miller and you get, how many prospects do you think you get back for him, just in general? Like 4, 5, maybe?
You've already gotten a top 10 draft prospect in baseball for him. So it wouldn't be crazy to think you could do it again. Probably get a 20 or a 20 along with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he would fetch a good 4 if you get 2 top 20 prospects, 5 if you only catch 1.
So they traded Leo DeVries, Braden Net, Henry Baez, and Eduardo Nunez. Right?
Mm.
Let's look at the Athletics top prospect list, if you will, and see just kind of where they're at. I don't remember where they were last year. All I remember was Leo DeVries. That was the only thing that you were really talking about. Leo's their number 1 prospect, not surprising. Braden Net's the number 5th prospect for the Athletics. Henry Baez is 13th on their list. And then Nunez is, I don't see him on there. So you could theoretically get probably 2 to 3 good prospects out of him. I mean, are you going to get the same haul that the Nationals got?
No.
For Juan Soto? No, I don't think so either, because he only pitches like 60.
If it was a fielder, yes. If it was a fielder doing what he is doing with the control that he has on the salary that he's on, yes. But the fact that he's a relief pitcher, no.
So, if that's the case, and you could potentially get those guys, what's the other thing you have to factor in? There's no guarantee that those guys will ever be those players at the big league level. There's still a chance that they're not. I think Leo DeVries is going to be a really good player. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but there's still that glimmer, right? So let's say you trade Mason Miller, you get 4 prospects back. One of them ends up being I don't even know if you can count it as that. Like, what would one of those prospects have to be for you to justify the trade long term? An all-star or a solid everyday major leaguer?
All-star.
Have to be at least an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
That's a massive risk, trading for a guy that has to be an all-star. I mean, Jared Kelenic was supposed to be a multi-time all-star, right? Who did Jared Kelenic get traded for? That involved the New York Mets.
Oh, that was the Diaz-Cano trade.
Correct. They brought over, who went to who? I can't remember, because I know Kelenic was a Mets prospect, wasn't he not?
Yes,
was he not?
Yeah.
So they traded him.
He was the next big thing. They traded him
for Diaz, and then they took on Cano's. Didn't they help take on Cano's contract? And that was part of the deal.
I don't remember the exact trade.
Edwin Diaz.
Let me see. I'm looking it up right now.
Cano trade, if you will.
Yeah, here it is. Mariners trade Cano. Okay, so it was Cano and Edwin Diaz.
Correct.
They swapped the contracts of Cano and Jay Bruce.
Okay, so those are kind of a wash. So you got Kelenic,
Anthony Swarzak, who, sure. Jared Kelenic, who was the new Mariners number 2, Justin Dunn, who became the Mariners number 3, and Garrison Bautista, who was the number 28 for the Mariners at the time.
So Jared Kelenic's their best out of the group.
Yes, with Justin Dunn, who I've not seen Dunn or Bautista play in the major leagues.
I would imagine if you were to trade Mason Miller, you would get something like that. You got 4 prospects, 2 that are expected to be really good, right? They became the Mariners, what, number 1 and number 3 prospects?
2, 3, and 28.
2, 3, and 28. Did Jared Kelenic become an all-star? Maybe he made one like one time. I don't even think he's been in the.
I don't think so.
He's been massively disappointing.
He has been.
He was a can't-miss prospect, was he not? Didn't the Seattle Mariners like already extend him before he made a? Wasn't he one of those guys?
I don't think they went that far, but he was definitely one of those guys that was a cannot miss.
Cannot miss. That's the risk you take. This is the warning I give people all the time when they go like, hey, let's just do this because the grass is always greener on the other side. But like, in order for it to be worth it, like Kelenic had to have been a multi-year all-star. That's what it was. Mariners, this is what Adam on YouTube said. Mariners offered him $100 million and he scoffed and said, how dare they? I remember that. I do remember that. They tried to sign him long-term and that's how much hype this guy had. He turned down the $100 million, these young contracts. Like you see Jackson Merrill sign. You saw Jackson Churio sign. You've seen guys like Corbin Carroll sign. Jared Kelenic said no to that. That's how great of a player everybody thought he was going to be.
He has never been an all-star. He's played with the White Sox and Rangers this year alone. He is a career.
Yeah, he just got DFA'd.
He is a career 211 hitter.
He was their number one prospect. Was he the Mets' number one prospect at that time?
I believe he was. If he wasn't, he was top 5. He was definitely top 5. They might have had, I don't know if he and Jet Williams were in the system at the same time. I know he and Ronnie Mauricio were. But yeah, he is a career 211 hitter, 50 home runs, 160 RBIs.
Okay. Justin Dunn was the Mets' 3rd overall prospect in 2018. 2017, where was he? I got to see. Maybe he wasn't. I thought he was. I thought he was like their number one prospect, but maybe I'm wrong. He was like a can't miss guy. And yet he missed because it happened. So I use that as an example, right? I mean, if you go back to Thomas, what was the other guy's name? No, that's not him. But like, if you look back and look at some of these prospects again, it's just, Pete Alonso was in 2017 was the Mets' 10th best prospect. He did pretty well. Number 2, Dom Smith. Dom Smith was okay. But let's talk about it from this perspective. So I go back I use that trade as an example because that's kind of like what you would get, right? You would get a handful of top prospects and some guys at the bottom. What? You all right?
No, it just hurts to see that in 2021, Pete Crow Armstrong was the Mets' number 5 prospect.
Yeah, it's painful, isn't it? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Even Keith Hernandez said that on the broadcast this last weekend. It's like, man, that's one of the worst trades the Mets have made in a long time.
So I offer you this, like, for every time that there is a trade where you get like a Leo DeVries, which we don't even know what he's going to be like in the big leagues because we haven't seen it yet. But for every one where it locks in like that, you're willing to take the risk that you trade for. You go all in on a guy like Jared Kelenic. And so for the Padres, because their best trade asset, if they were going to sell, is Mason Miller, their bullpen then loses Mason Miller. You pick up 4 prospects. One of them you're hoping to be an all-star, but he could be Jared Kelenic. Are you willing to do that knowing that Jason Adam, who's going to be 35 next year, and a free agent, and Adrian Morejon, also a free agent, are going to be gone? Who's going to be in your bullpen next year if you do that? Who's going to be in your bullpen? You just got to go with Bragley Rodriguez? Are you going to go with Bragley and Jeremiah Estrada, who's under contract for a long time? I mean, like, who's going to be your bullpen? So I just, if you want to do that, Frank, which I know you don't, but if you want to do that, what I'm saying is, in order to sell at the deadline, to punt on the year and get ready for the next year, are you willing to punt on the next 2 or 3 years from that perspective?
No. There's no reason for this team to punt that long.
Right. They're not going to sell. And I think we have to do this exercise to show that like it doesn't make sense for them to sell unless they're like 10 to 15 games out of the wild card and just ultimate collapse. But if that's the case and they actually do sell, Frank, you're willing to punt on the next couple of years because you're going to go full rebuild mode. And I don't think anybody really wants to see that.
I don't know why, but Kelenic was never shown
as
a Met top 30 prospect.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just super overrated.
He got drafted in 2018, and in those 4 years or those 3 years after, before he was traded, he was never listed as one of their top 30 prospects.
Huh. When he was ranked,
he was the Mariners' number 1 prospect in 2021. Let's see if they have him. Oh no, he's on the Mariners side. That's why
he got flipped before he could even be like on any of these lists.
No. He's being listed in the Mariners. He's not listed as a guy who was drafted by the Mets. He's being listed on the Mariners side. So he was drafted in 2018. 2019, he's the Mariners' number 2 prospect. He wasn't traded until 2021. 2020, he's their number 1. 2021, he's their number 1.
He was the number 4th overall prospect in 2021.
He was a higher rated prospect than Julio Rodriguez, Emerson Hancock, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby. Guys who are mainstays on that roster. Cal Raleigh was number 8 that year.
He was initially selected by the Mets as the number 6 overall prospect in the 2018 draft. They got traded that offseason. That's why. So they didn't have time to like throw him into the top prospects because he was just drafted. And they traded him at the earliest you could trade a draft pick. And he became the 4th overall prospect in Major League Baseball by 2021.
I don't know why I thought that they traded him in 2021. My bad.
They traded him 18.
He made his debut. That's where I missed. He made his debut in 2021. That's where I got 2021 from.
Correct. So again, in terms of like trading and selling at the deadline, the only way that you would do anything like that would be to bring in exceptional talent. And the only way you're going to bring in exceptional talent is by trading valuable assets. And the valuable assets are Mason Miller, maybe Fernando, but he's got a full no trade, and Jackson Merrill. That's literally it. I mean, it's not like you're going to be able to trade Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts to get this like massive haul. You're not going to be able to trade, Adrian Morejon might get you a player or two. They might be a good solid role player, but I don't necessarily know if that's the case. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. From a buying perspective, I think there's a little bit more that the Padres can do. I wanted to do that exercise to understand that it's really nonsensical to sell at the deadline unless you're completely out of it. And by then, Padres fans, I don't think you necessarily want to see what the future of the Padres might be if that is the case. We'll play the game when we come back. We'll talk more about this and what the Padres could do at the deadline. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Storm Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The 2026 NHL draft grades are in. Toronto comes out on top with an A+ after landing Gavin McKenna first overall, potential franchise-changing winger. Right behind him, San Jose Sharks continue building one of NHL's most dangerous young cores with another elite draft haul. But there's a twist. Some of the worst grades belong to teams like Edmonton, Vegas, and Dallas, not because they drafted poorly, but because they've spent years trading picks to chase Stanley Cup. So what actually matters more, winning draft day or winning playoff series? Because right now, the NHL proves you usually can't have both. 2026 NHL draft officially complete. And while it will take years to fully evaluate, early draft grades are already shaping the conversation around the league. One thing is clear. This was a draft where top-heavy teams with premium picks made the biggest impact, while contending teams with fewer selections mostly held steady. Toronto headlines the class after landing a consensus number 1 pick in Gavin McKenna, while San Jose continues to stack elite young talent behind their rebuild. Meanwhile, several contenders like Edmonton, Dallas, and Vegas receive lower grades largely due to a lack of draft capital rather than poor scouting. But Toronto, obviously, really hard to mess up the number 1 overall pick. San Jose continuing to add to a very young core. But how about Vancouver and Calgary adding some pretty impressive grades, Frank?
Yeah, absolutely. Toronto was the only team to earn the A+, highlighted by the consensus overall pick out of Penn State, Gavin McKenna. He's viewed as a franchise-changing winger with elite vision, high-end offensive upside, and the Leafs backed it up with a productive draft class beyond just that top pick. San Jose followed with an A grade, adding Ivar Stenberg at number 2, along with defensive Keaton Verhoff and Ryan Lynn, giving them one of the strongest young cores in the NHL. Calgary and Vancouver also earning A minus grades, with Calgary reinforcing its blue line through Carson Karls, while Vancouver made headlines with Caleb Malhotra, 3rd overall, and continuing to build in depth through day number 2 of the draft.
I do want to talk about like some solid hauls, some B+ to B grades. I mean, Anaheim and Buffalo got a pretty good grade in the Bs as well. Anaheim continued their whole let's go young kind of attitude. They traded John Carlson. They traded McTavish. Now McTavish is one of the younger players, but they got a 1st round pick for him. They traded into the 1st round with the McTavish trade. And then just today they traded Gudas as well. So a couple of the veteran players on this team have now been shipped off, and they continue to get young. And Anaheim, I think at this point, with how close that they were with Vegas, who ended up going to the Stanley Cup final, I feel like they could taste that and continue to add to what has been a very young core in Anaheim.
Yeah, and for them, they ended up drafting Nikita Klepov and Marcus Nordmark, 2 wingers who are very highly touted. So solid draft for Anaheim, including giving up guys like Mason McTavish, as you mentioned, to go out and get back into the 1st round. Rangers added some guys as well. LA with Elton Hammerson, great piece for a great piece for the Kings. Seattle was good. They picked up offensive defenseman Chase Reed, who's seen as a power play quarterback, more or less. So solid drafts for those teams as well.
Big picture takeaway, though. I mean, obviously, like draft grades are often a reflection of opportunity, not just evaluation. It's really hard to mess up the number 1 pick. You're almost always going to get a really good draft if you have a high pick, right?
Especially when it's as obvious as Gavin McKenna is.
But on top of that, too, it's like if a lot of the bad grades were because they didn't have a lot of draft picks, I mean, how much of a bad grade is that in reality, right? So I feel like you have to value the on-ice success a lot more than the draft day success. And this is fun to talk about on sports talk shows, but when you talk about like draft recaps, you don't know how good anybody of these guys are going to be, right? I mean, what could be a steal in the later rounds ends up being a bust and it's a wasted pick. Or, what could be a guy that's like, oh, that's kind of a reach, ends up being, a major focal point in a franchise. So until you get like 5-6 years down the road where you get to see these guys not only become professionals but make it to the NHL, and then what they do in the NHL after making it there, that to me is the best kind of takeaway or best time to really grade a draft, is like a couple years down the road once you know what these players turn into.
Yeah, it is. It's always fun to do this now and based off the potential and what you see these guys as. But there are guys like Gavin McKenna is not going to spend a single second with the Toronto Marlies. He's that good. He is not going to. Ivar Stenberg will most likely learn on the job in San Jose, and they've got a very young core of players as well. Do the Sharks. So, but there are, unlike any other real draft, these guys are going to make an instant impact on these teams a lot of the time. So you can, for the higher draft picks, yeah, it is fair to do this now. But for the later round draft picks, for the teams that didn't get too many picks, it is still a little bit too early to grade those teams.
September is when the preseason starts. It's right around the corner. I know hockey season just ended, but I feel like it's about to begin. Got a little taste of it with the draft coverage. 12:42 on a Tuesday. 5:05 start. First pitch today. Equator SoCal Padres pregame show at 4:05. We'll talk more about that in the final hour of the show. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Again, we like to, on this show, we have a lot of extra sports talk that we do on YouTube that we throw in, some national topics that we don't have time to get to, some national things that we like to add to it. But those are usually during the breaks where we're on a break. All over the radio, we're talking a lot of Padres baseball. On YouTube, we have a lot of extra content. NBA offseason, NHL draft. We've talked about, we had a segment this week about the new coordinators in the NFL. All of that is on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/@B_SURP. Be sure to subscribe. We got all those videos on there. If you're a member, it's great. You get access before everybody else since a lot of these videos debut throughout the week. But those are our news and notes, if you will. Wow. How about this? Kawhi Leonard going to go back to Toronto, Frank.
Yeah, that was something we discussed on the NBA video.
Los Angeles Clippers nearing deal, sending Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 1 pick swap, and 2 second-rounders.
2 first-round picks. That's a lot for
That's
Kawhi Leonard.
That's
right
a
now.
lot for a guy that doesn't play a lot. I love Kawhi, man, because he's San Diego State Aztec for life. Goes to Padre games in the offseason. He was for a time. I don't know if he still is. Was living in Rancho Santa Fe. It's great. That guy never plays. 2 first-round picks for a guy that never plays. I know he won you an NBA final, won you an NBA championship, but come on, man.
Sentimental value isn't monetary value.
These guys want to play the game or talking the show?
Well, now, hold on.
Okay.
Greg is not there. Tommy still is, and he wants to talk.
He wants to talk. Tommy and Santee wants to talk. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. What's going on, Tommy?
Hey, Braden. I was just thinking about the buying or selling, the deadline. So we went 43-38 through 81 games. Do you guys think realistically that the way this team's currently constructed that they do better than 43-38 in the back half? Because, I don't know, they're not showing a lot of signs of that. And then if you do buy, I feel like you're going to go starting pitching, and I don't know what realistic options we can go get with what we have in farm system and our contracts.
Well, the thing is the rumor on the street is that the Padres are willing to take on payroll. So if that's the case, with A.J. Preller, they seem to be a little bit of a wild card during the trade deadline. And here's my question. If at any point, is Tommy and Santee still on the line over there?
Yeah.
At any point from Tommy, you've been a Padres fan for a while?
I am. Unfortunately, yes, I am.
Fortunately and unfortunately. We go through the pain, the ups and the downs. I mean, in 2013, if the Padres were close to the wild card in the standings at the trade deadline, would you be upset or happy if they bought at that deadline?
I would have been ecstatic in 2013 if they did it. So, I mean, I get your point there. I'm not even saying I don't even know if I want to sell, but it's just how much money are we willing to take on and put ourselves in a hole 5-6 years down the line. But I don't know. I mean, I'm always going to root for to buy rather than sell.
Absolutely. I mean, this is why we had the thing. And Tommy, I appreciate the phone call, man. This is why I had in part of the open, you don't punt on a Manny Machado prime year. I mean, right now, obviously it seems a little bit odd. Can you, we hear him in the background. My collar machine's all jacked. Obviously right now with the way he's playing, it's hard to say, but when you have built the team that you have built, any chance that they have to make the playoffs, that is when you have to buy. And then once they get older to a point where they're not like that anymore, because here's the thing. It's not going to get better with these guys later on. Maybe slightly. There'll be some good years mixed out, but as we go along with these contracts, it's not going to get necessarily better for a lot of these guys. So, and there's no guarantee that next year you're going to be in a better spot than you are this year. So if you have the chance with this current roster, you have to buy. You can't just like pull the cord and be like, oh, we quit on this. We tried. Let's try again. When you decided to sign these long contracts, you decided we are going to try to compete for a World Series through this big chunk of their contract to make this thing work. And if we're close, we got to go for it. There's no like Band-Aid you could put on a lot of these plans. They were all in. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them being all in. In terms of like who you can get, there's a lot out there and a lot more out there than you think. And teams are always willing to unload money. And you know what? Maybe you're not getting a young, controllable player at the trade deadline this year. Maybe you're getting somebody that's under contract that gets paid a lot. Maybe that's what it is, and a little bit different because you don't have the prospect capital, but you might have the funds, which I know is hard to say based on the last couple of years because we've seen them kind of, limit the spending a little bit. But all of these reports are saying they're willing to take on money. They might have more of a war chest than you think. So it just might be a different approach than what you've been used to the last couple of years. But this team, Frank, as assembled, if they're within 5 games of a wild card by the trade deadline, 1, they are going to buy, and 2, you probably should because there's not a quick fix sell plan to this team, not with the contracts you have, not with the players you have, and you could always run into a Jared Kelenic situation.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no reason for this team to sell right now. You're over 500. You're just inside of you're in a wild card position or thereabouts.
You're 1 game out of one now.
There's no reason to pull the parachute. You're within striking distance, and that is all you need when it comes down to the trade deadline. Is just be within striking distance.
And that's the thing too. People always go like, "Is this team ready to win a World Series?" I mean, were they saying about Washington in 2019? Were they saying about the Texas Rangers in 2023? I mean, you can go down the list. Were they saying about Atlanta in 2021 when they traded for an entirely brand new outfield at the trade deadline? I mean, in baseball, you got to get in. And then from there on, it's about getting hot in October. That's really all it is. In terms of what they should go after, yeah, obviously starting pitching. They're going to need some help there. And I think they can get some of their current guys right. We've seen it. We've seen Walker. If Walker Buehler can continue to pitch like he is pitching, even like maybe you can even handle slightly worse, he's going to be in there as a 3 or 4 starter. It's going to work out for you. Michael King, we have seen, can be as high as a number 1. We haven't seen him really be ace-like so much, but we've seen the potential for him to be like a number 1. Randy Vasquez seems to be the biggest wild card right here. We talked about it with Bob Scanlan. If you missed that interview, go back, watch it on YouTube, or be sure to use the rewind function on the Odyssey app. Because he talked about what the biggest difference has been for a guy like Randy Vasquez in a lot of its location. That is a fixable thing. It's not like he doesn't have the stuff. We've seen it at the end of last year, leading into the beginning part of this year. It's not a fluke for Randy Vasquez, despite some of you thinking he's the worst pitcher on the planet. I think they can fix him. If you believe in Ruben Niebla, then you believe that he could fix and get Randy Vasquez back on track. I like the way Griffin Canning pitched yesterday. He came back a little bit. He needs to get deeper into games. We'll see what happens with JP Sears tonight. But if you get one of Musgrove or Pivetta back, and you really can't use that as an option too much because it's a wild card, and having guys come back from injury is not a plan. But if you get one of those guys back and you add a good arm, maybe you add 2 with contract. Who knows? I don't know how much money they have to spend, nor do I care. If they say they want to take on payroll, sure, sounds good. It's not my money. But if they go out there and get a starting pitcher mixed with those guys that I mentioned and some internal fixings they're going to be as good as most teams in the National League already. They got to add a bat. They could add a starting pitcher. They really could use a bullpen arm, too, like everybody else at the deadline. Oh, that's funny. Everybody has the same list every time. The bullpen arm would just basically be to come in and give the rest of the guys a break. But this team should be buying despite maybe how their play. I said it last year. I said it the year before that. And in 2024, when a lot of people at this point in the season, Frank, 2024, this point in the season, everybody was like, I don't know why we got to buy. They got to prove that they should be worth buying. And by August and September, they were the best team. They were playing like the best team in baseball. It's amazing how fast that turns around. And in 2024, what was their record in the first 100 games of the season?
I remember right. It was 51-49, possibly.
They were 50-50, and they were coming off of a 7-0 ass kicking by the Cleveland Guardians to start the second half of the season, the ceremonial second half of the season. So again, with baseball, it's as much as they got to turn things around offensively, and I thought they hit last night. They got to be able to score more runs, and they got to be able to, execute situational plays, and they got to get more innings out of starting pitching. They have the talent. They got to be able to now control what they can control, which we haven't seen this team do yet. And we talked about that in our open today, and I'm going to discuss more about that in the next hour, obviously, with how last night's game ended. I mean, the Padres had multiple opportunities to win. They've been doing that time and time again. And last night really encapsulated everything that you've seen this year in terms of situational awareness for the Padres. I mean, there were so many mental mistakes last night in last night's game. And I know Bob Scanlan said it was a hard-fought game. They did play hard. It's not like they didn't. But, I mean, you could go down the list. There were like 7 things last night that you're sitting there going like, what is going on? Why are we playing like this? These are things that we can control and be better at. We'll talk about some of those things when we come back, kind of reset in the 1 o'clock hour. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Final hour, Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Zimmerman Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. 1 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. It is a Tuesday. We are getting ready for Padres baseball coming up at 5:05 p.m. Pacific time. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 4:05 as Padres will try to even up the series at 1 apiece against the Chicago Cubs. Padres have to win the next 2 games in order to tie the season series. Padres are now unable to win the season series against the Chicago Cubs. They already lost 2 out of 3 at home, and they're currently down 0-1 in Chicago. So, as we look at this team this year, last night was a tough game. But as we talked about in the open today, and we'll discuss more further, it's been a multitude of problems that the Padres have had that are fixable and controllable. It's one thing to complain about an aging player and not being the same player that they used to be, but there's no fixing that. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do about that maybe on the pitching side of things either. You can't really fix it. If Manny Machado is starting to fall off a little bit because he's getting older, if Jason Adam because he's almost 35 years old, is it the same pitcher that he used to be? Yada, 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 yada. Those are things that you can't control. Can't necessarily control injuries either. I mean, these are things that happen in the game that is out of your control. But what you can control is the way that you have the approach at the plate offensively that we talked about the Dodgers doing so well over the weekend. Passing the baton, not being afraid to work a walk. Right? Being able to grind out the at-bats. Understanding situational awareness. And that was a big problem yesterday. And that's number 1 on the list that, Too Much Morton's on social media on X, who isn't the Giannis that got traded to the Miami Heat, laid out on one of his tweets. And they are all the problems that we had discussed earlier today. And problem number 1 was Manny Machado challenging a call with 2 outs and no one on base in a 2-1 count, and then rolling over on the next pitch. What a waste of time challenging that pitch with ABS. I mean, the situational awareness for the challenging of pitches this season has been atrocious. That is stuff that you can fix. Those are things that you can control. Understanding when it's important to challenge and when it's not. Bases loaded, 1 out, 3-2 pitch in the 5th inning of a 1-1 game, probably a time to challenge a pitch that's close. That's the situation. Not whether or not it looks like a clear strike. It needs to be situational challenges, not challenges of like, that ball was kind of close. I think that was probably a ball and not a strike. Or as a catcher, it's pretty close. This should have been a strike. No, this needs to be like, how does this affect this at-bat of this inning? There are certain plays that you even might be right on ABS-wise that if you flip it, it doesn't change the outcome of the situation. 2 outs in an inning where you got nobody on base, and it's not even like a pitch that's going to get you on first. It's not a 3-2 pitch, right? It's not ball 4. It's not strike 3. If it's not one of those in that particular sense, it doesn't make any sense. Those are the things that you can control. That's what makes this team frustrating to watch. That was mistake number 1 yesterday. The most glaring one that is like, we got to fix the way that we do ABS challenges. How about him like number 2 on Giannis's list? Manny having a real-life brain fart on defense. I mean, I couldn't believe the situation of Manny on the hit and run, playing over. It was like a little bit of a shift. The hit and run for the Cubs, and he tries to what does he try to tag Nico Horner for at second before throwing it to? I mean, it ended up not costing the Padres a run in that inning, but just they're better than that. They are way better than that. A hit and run should not drastically confuse this team that's got a third baseman with 13 years of service time and a shortstop with 12 years of service time and a second baseman with 6 years of service time at age 32. I mean, come on. It happens. I get it. But those are things that you can control. Fermin getting thrown at third base. What are we doing? Seriously, there's a time to be aggressive, and there's a time where it turns into being reckless. Next batter ended up getting a single, could have scored a run. Instead, no runs. I mean, come on. Number 4. Merrill striking out on 3 pitches with runner on third, less than 2 outs. Did we not talk about this yesterday, Frank, with the difference between the Dodgers and the Padres? I mean, team at bats. This team does not have a lot of team at bats. You could say what you want about talent that the Dodgers have, and they can buy their way out of mistakes, and they're the richest team. But you know what they do? They find a way to score that run. They don't strike out on 3 pitches with a runner on third and less than 2 outs. That tells me you're trying to do more than what the situation asks. These are things that you can control. And that's what makes it so frustrating. Fermin also failing on 3 pitches like Merrill right after. That's kind of coincidable. Like that you could put those together. Fermin losing his challenge. I mean, here's the other thing, too. That was another situation with the ABS. Once Manny burned the 1 challenge, it's almost like, all right, let's break this up into innings 1 through 6, you have a challenge, and innings 7 through 9, you have a challenge. And if you burn the 1 through 6, don't use it again until at least the 7th inning. Almost need to implement that. I just, the strategy behind the Padres and how they use ABS is just, to me, mind-boggling. And number 7 on Too Much Morton's on social media's list of why the team did not look mentally locked in last night, and for me, using it as things that you can control. Miguel Andújar, known base stealer, early in the game, gets picked off at first base. Where is Augie Garrido when you need him? How do you get picked off at first base? That's what he would say. I should go save that clip just so next time this happens, we could just play that. We could just have Augie Garrido say it. How do you get picked off at first base? Those are the things that you have to take care of to be a good baseball team. Those are the things. Understanding the situation at the plate of when you can use an ABS challenge. Understanding the situation of if you already used the challenge, don't burn it from the pitching side in the very next inning. Understanding when to be aggressive and when not to on the base paths. Understanding the situation defensively on a hit and run of what to do. These are all things that you can control, and that's why last night's game was extra irritating. Look, not executing, fine. Not understanding the situation multiple times throughout the contest, that is just unacceptable by the entire team. That's unacceptable by the player itself. That's unacceptable by his teammates allowing it to happen. That's unacceptable by the coaching staff. That's unacceptable by the manager allowing this to happen. These are the things that differentiate between a talented team that has a record above 500 and a great baseball team, and one that wins on a consistent basis. These are the differences. So when people ask, and I've seen it a lot, I don't understand why this team has the record that they have. That could either be they're playing worse than they thought, or I don't know how they're winning these games. They have the record of a team that is very talented, but doesn't do the little things right all the time. To say that they don't do it ever, I think is a reach. There are times that you see this team lock into a new level. Unfortunately, it's not all the time. Their inability to do it on a consistent basis either means, one, they don't know what to do in these situations, or two, they do know and they're just choosing not to do them. It's either one or the other. So I understand that they have been the second half team for a long time now. They've done well in the second half. They can't just flip a switch and let's go. They're going to be like this. It's going to be too. They might be in too big of a hole to be able to do that. I said it the last couple of years. I guess that they've been able to do that. I guess if you keep doing it, might as well. But this is a team that has the record that they have because they're talented enough to win games and talented enough to win more games than they lose, but yet they don't take care of the little things, and that's why they don't lead in the division. That's why they don't lead in the wild card. That's why they don't have one of the best records in the National League. And if you want to know why, look at the rest of the National League. Look at the teams that lead their divisions. Look at the teams that are in the wild card race. They're either really talented or they play the game in a way where they take care of things that they can control. And if they're really good, they do both of those things. The Dodgers do both of those things. The Brewers do both of those things. The Braves do both of those things. Those teams are in first place. The Cardinals are very young. They're talented, but they're still very youthful, but they also do the little things. The Chicago Cubs, they might be beat up a little bit, but you know what? They executed a little bit more times than not. They've been on a little bit of a heater, but I would honestly consider the Cubs to be in the same situation as the Padres. Phillies, probably a little bit more on the talent than the ins and outs of the execution. You go to the American League. The White Sox are leading their division. Is it because they're super talented? No. They got good players, but they're not super talented. They have cleaned up the way that they have played. They have controlled what they can control. You could say what you want about the offense underperforming, but there are other ways that this team could be able to win more games, and they are not taking care of those things. If they were grinding out at bats, if they were passing the baton, if they were working the walks, if they were doing everything that we saw the Dodgers do all weekend long, I would give them a little bit more benefit of the doubt of things aren't going their way and they're underperforming. But when they don't all collectively play like they should, it becomes frustrating to watch. And Frank, I think that's where they're at right now, is they have the talent. They have shown that they can control what they can control every once in a while, but they don't do it all the time like the teams in first place are doing.
No, we saw it in the Seattle series. The Seattle series was the second one, the one in Seattle, was the epitome of what this team can be when they buy in to the offensive philosophy. They hit, move, they score a lot of runs, solid defense, solid pitching. That was what you've hoped to see out of this team the entire season. What you hope to see, I don't know, the night after, maybe, they left Seattle. But it just has not gone that way. They have been just, like I keep saying, they just insist on underperforming every single year. And then when they have to turn it on, they turn it on. But there's going to come a point where they're not going to be able to turn it back on. And that point, I think, is coming a lot sooner rather than later. They really need to start shaping up and figuring out how to get this team overall working together synced. Because right now, this ain't it.
And just to go off of what Juan Ruiz said in the YouTube chat, it's not just defense. This team actually plays pretty good defense when they want to. And not to say that they weren't trying to play defense last night. I mean, I think the mental mistakes defensively last night are kind of a fluke. I'm talking more about the approach on the offense, and I'm talking more about the base running and just situational awareness more than just booting a ball at first or second base.
And you also had two inexperienced outfielders. Like I think Jesse said on the broadcast, the last time Samad Taylor played in the outfield at Wrigley Field was in 2023. And Jace Bowen is a brand new major leaguer. First time he's seeing the Wrigley Field outfield in person. So, I mean, those mistakes you can kind of let go of. They're young players. They're learning a new ballpark that they're only going to have to go to once a year for 3 days. Those are the things you can kind of let go. But the infield stuff, that's a little bit different.
That's why we didn't list any of the outfield stuff with it.
Exactly.
I listed again, ABS challenges.
Yes.
Are you telling me, because here's the other thing too, Erie fan in the YouTube chat, the players of the Dodgers are better at executing game plans because they're all bona fide all-stars. College kids can operate this game plan. They don't have to be all-stars to be able to not chase pitches out of the zone and be disciplined at the plate and be willing to pass the baton to the next guy. This is what I'm talking about.
I was not the greatest high school baseball player. I will readily hold my hand up and say that. I could do this. This is just be selective, take your pitch, don't do too much with it. And when you get on the bases, make sure you stay there, because as a team that's struggling to score runs, we kind of need you out there, because if we do get one that goes 500 feet, it's more than just one. This is not something, you don't need to be a brain surgeon to say, take selfless at bat, get on base, stay on base. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out.
Right. And again, with the approach at the plate, I know for a fact, well, not for a fact, but I would imagine, okay, maybe I'm assuming here, maybe Steven Souza Jr. is teaching him something else. I highly doubt that. But I would imagine they're not telling the guys to swing out of their shoes with the guy on third base, right? Like, these are the things that happen in all Major League Baseball teams to get, again, counter the argument. Because the argument right now in the YouTube chat was like, well, the Yankees made a bunch of base running mistakes and defensive errors, and they made it to the World Series. That Yankees offense did a pretty good job of passing the baton, Frank, and doing the things at the plate. I mean, they also had very talented players. But right now, the Padres aren't controlling that aspect of the game. They're not controlling the base running aspect of the game. They're not controlling the... I think they have done it for defense, but they haven't necessarily... They didn't do it last night. The situational awareness. You could say what you want about talent. You could say what you want about, maybe diminishing returns on your talent because they're getting older. Those are some of the things that you can't necessarily control, but you can control a lot of fundamental stuff, and that's not getting done right now.
The Yankees as a team also hit 251 last season, which means every 4 hitters were getting a hit on average.
He's talking about the 2024 team, but yes.
Oh, 2024?
When they went to the World Series.
All right, let's go with that then. 2024, the Yankees hit 248, so they were right there. They were pretty much the same. I mean, that is a team that is hitting. That is a team that hit way better than what you're hitting right now. As a team, you're hitting 222. The Padres are. That's a 16-point difference, 26-point difference. So I mean, there's a major difference in the two offenses. You let those things go when your offense is playing better than what this Padre offense is right now.
Yeah.
You have more leniency with things like that.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll go into the decision for Craig Stammen to go with Jason Adam to start the 9th inning, and a lot of people had questions about that. And we'll start talking about Game 2 of the series on the other side. The Braden Surprenant Show continues. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG. Come on. Did anybody else think? You didn't think we were going to talk about anybody else when they go to Sonoma? He's obviously making NASCAR history every time the Cup Series hits a road course. This weekend, he backed up last year's Sonoma win with another victory, holding off Chase Briscoe in an incredible final lap battle. That's 8 Cup Series wins in just 68 starts, tying Tony Stewart for the second most road course wins in NASCAR history, trailing only Jeff Gordon. SVG did not stop there. He also swept the weekend by winning Saturday's Xfinity Series, O'Reilly Series race, providing once again that he's the driver to beat whenever the track starts turning left and right. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin leaves Sonoma with a Cup Series points lead after Tyler Reddick suffered mechanical issues and was knocked out of NASCAR's new in-season challenge tournament. Over in Formula One, George Russell held off Max Verstappen to win the Austrian Grand Prix and move back into second in the championship standings. It's been another huge weekend across the motorsports world, and the championship battles are only heating up. SVG continues his road course reign.
Yep, the biggest story in motorsports this week belongs to Shane Van Gisbergen, who is continues proving that when NASCAR hits a road course, everyone else is racing for second. SVG captured his second consecutive NASCAR Cup Series victory at Sonoma, holding off Chase Briscoe in a thrilling final lap battle. Briscoe got within inches of the rear bumper of SVG entering the final hairpin, but could not complete the pass, giving SVG his 8th Cup Series victory in just 68 career starts, all of them coming on road courses. The win could not have come at a better time after last week's disappointment in Coronado, where he was collected in a multi-car crash early. Instead of letting that setback linger, he responded immediately, just as champions do.
We saw the in-season challenge tournament happen. For those of us that don't know it as much, it's brand new though, Frank. And before we tell you the results, what is the in-season challenge tournament, and why do they do it?
The in-season challenge tournament is effectively the same thing as the new NBA challenge tournament. The in-season tournament that came out. It's basically the drivers are matched in points in a bracket style. So if you're first place in points, you're first seed, second place, second seed, third, and so on and so forth. And you're pitted against drivers, and whoever, if you finish ahead of that driver, you advance in this completely meaningless in-season tournament. But other than that, yeah, it's basically just that you beat the driver that you're paired with. If you do, you advance. If not, you don't.
How many of these drivers are that into this right now? I mean, are they like? I guess the competitive juices are going, but
they're into it.
Is Tyler Reddick super upset that he's got eliminated from this thing?
They're into it as a gag. They're into it as a joke. Like Ryan Preece was paired with Shane Van Gisbergen, and his Twitter this week became a must-see because it was just like, I'm in danger.
Yeah, right. It's like,
I'm in danger memes.
Why couldn't I get SVG on a regular course?
Exactly.
Why do I get him on a road course to start things off? But Tyler Reddick suffered a power steering issue, as Frank mentioned. He finished dead last. He's eliminated in the opening round by Alex Bowman. Denny Hamlin survived despite spinning during the race. Now takes over the Cup Series points lead by just 1 point over Reddick. Connor Zilic also continued showing why many believe he's NASCAR's next superstar. After starting at the rear twice because of penalties, teenager drove all the way back to finish 7th in the Cup race and 2nd in Saturday's O'Reilly Series. And speaking of Saturday, Van Gisbergen completed the weekend sweep by dominating that as well, leading 66 laps on his way to another Sonoma victory. Not a lot, there was a lot of surprises this weekend in Sonoma, but let's move on to Formula One.
Yeah, he do be good at races like that. George Russell delivered another Formula One overall delivered an outstanding race in Austria. George Russell converted the pole into victory, earning his 7th career Grand Prix win while holding off Max Verstappen in the closing laps. Verstappen recovered from a disappointing qualifying session to finish 2nd, while championship leader Kimi Antonelli completed out the podium. So both Mercedes on the podium in Austria. Russell's victory moves him back into 2nd place in the championship and proves Mercedes still has race-winning speed, despite Antonelli's remarkable consistency this season. And the Austrian Grand Prix also featured plenty of drama, including multiple retirements from Williams and Cadillac, strategic battles throughout the field, and another intense Verstappen versus Hamilton fight that reminded us why those two remain some of the fiercest competitors in the sport.
NASCAR returns to Chicagoland Speedway for the first time since 2019.
It's Rahway Keek. It is Rahway Keek. That's the official. That is the official tweet from the Speedway's official Twitter account.
Did you enjoy that?
More than I should.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, they're going to Chicagoland Speedway for the first time since 2019. Another fresh challenge for teams as the playoff race continues to tighten. What should people expect this weekend in NASCAR?
It's going to be a fun race for sure. It's an old surface, hasn't been raced on in quite some time. So I would expect the word of the weekend to be tires, tires, tires.
.126 on the Fan, broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. Next homestand for the Padres will be the final homestand before the All-Star break, July 6th to the 12th. It's next Monday. It'll be the Diamondbacks and the Blue Jays coming to town. Summer is in full swing at Petco Park for the All-Star break. Padres host the Arizona Diamondbacks and Toronto Blue Jays from July 6th to the 12th. Several great promotions are planned, including theme games like Naruto Night, Catholic Night, Hockey Night. You must purchase a special theme game package to receive the specialty item. Check the schedule, buy tickets at Padres.com/theme game. Padres.com is your official source for Padres ticket. Visit Padres.com/tickets. Now, we have a couple of different giveaways that they are showing off. They have a kids giveaway only. Sometimes they do this on Sundays, but on Sunday, July 12th, which will be the final Padres home game before the All-Star break, they have a Squeeze Top Water Bottle by UC San Diego Health. Kids ages 14 and younger can stay hydrated with Padres Squeeze Top Water Bottle presented by UC San Diego Health. This is a limited to first 10,000 kids in attendance. Looks like the top of a chocolate sundae with sprinkles. Sprinkles are a very underrated topping, by the way. I get sprinkles on tons of stuff.
You gotta get the right ones, though.
Okay, what are the right ones before I make foul here?
No, I'm just saying, like some of them don't taste good. So like you gotta make sure it's like the brand that you're getting is a good brand and not like just a cheap brand of, oh, here's sprinkles.
Let's table that for a second when I'm done with this read. Perfect for your everyday adventures is a great Squeeze Top Bottle with a fun design. Yes, it's fun. It's like an ice cream cone. Learn more about family-friendly fun and other kids' dedicated giveaways at Padres.com/KidFest. We also have, I'm going to do an unboxing here. We have a Trevor Hoffman bobblehead presented by Canells. Sorry. It is going to be on July 8th against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Oh, I just dropped Trevor. Whoops.
Good job.
There we go. It's okay. He's all right. On Wednesday, July 8th at 7:10, the first 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a Trevor Hoffman bobblehead presented by Canells. Celebrate the Hall of Famer and Padres legend with this cool collectible. This is Hoffman's first bobblehead since 2018. You won't want to miss this. You can get your tickets at Padres.com/giveaways. First 40,000 fans. He's wearing look at this. We match. You can get your Braden Surprenant Show shirt like that. He's got the blue and orange blue jersey top with the blue and orange lid. Looks great. And again, as we mentioned before, with all of those, me and Trevor Hoffman, twins, with my shirt today. I got a brand new, just came in, Braden Surprenant Show shirt. It's blue and orange. You can see it on our YouTube page if you are there. There are also a link to our Shopify on the link below. I finally got that shirt populating on the YouTube stream. So if you see it, you like it, you want to buy it, shout out Trav Gundy. Got a shirt today. Click the link and it'll take you to our Shopify where you can buy some merch, some swag, some Braden Surprenant Show swag. Represent at the Padre games, City Connect nights. We also have the brown and gold. We have the brown and orange 80 looking color scheme. We got some UCSD looking color scheme. We got some other stuff too. So we have it. Hey, you know what, Rod? You could get this. It's on Shopify. You are a member. Maybe give you a member discount as well. All the members out there do have a discount. I'll give you the discount code out there in on our messages on YouTube if you want to get a shirt. So stay tuned for that for all of our members. Nate helped out a lot of people. He gifted a lot of members for the month. So we want to add some perks to that as well. Ships within about a day or two once I get a hold of it. Pretty easy, and it's super comfy. So we appreciate you guys helping out the show on that. All right, back to the sprinkles.
Well, really quick. We've been discussing baseball a lot.
Chris Paddock got DFA'd again.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Did you see that? What team was he on this time?
I have
the Rangers?
I have no idea.
He was on the Rangers, I think.
We've spoken a lot of baseball today, and I don't know if you've read this or not, but baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that.
You know, when Frank does reads, that means one thing.
You forgot it. Well, I forgot it, and I didn't know how to shoehorn it into.
Mm-hmm. Double foul.
Foul! No, 2 fouls.
Yep. Okay. Let's get back to the sprinkles thing. You better watch out because you might foul out on your sprinkles. To me, like with the I'm a sucker for sprinkles. It's a nice topping. It's a great Sunday topping. I'm a sucker for them. You know what? If they have it on that, great. If they have it on, throw it on brownies, great. Funfetti cakes, awesome. I know I'm a 31-year-old man. I like sprinkles. Okay, I like them on there, and I don't call them Jimmy's either. I'm sure you can call them Jimmy's. Maybe you want to sound like tougher or something like that. It doesn't really matter to me. I know them as sprinkles. I know some of them at Vaughn's say Jimmy's on there, but I kind of agree. I like the classic sprinkles, Frank.
Yeah, those are
the classic rainbow sprinkles.
Yeah,
right. You know, good size. Okay, you get like the parlor ones, if you will. When they start mixing in like the shapes out, when they do like the glittery ones out, when they do like the little dots out, get those away.
Because they make them so solid, like you break your teeth trying to bite through them.
Yeah,
that's not what sprinkles are for. I meant like Betty Crocker's good sprinkles. Like that's a solid tasting sprinkle. You're not going to buy like a store brand knockoff brand of sprinkles. Otherwise, they're just not good.
You know, I'm not going to discriminate on the sprinkle brands. I'm not that in depth. I mean, sprinkles are sprinkles to me.
You know when you have bad sprinkles.
You know when you have stale sprinkles.
Yes.
Maybe those were stale. I will say that. Chocolate sprinkles are fine. I'd rather just have the regular ones. I want the regular rainbow sprinkles on stuff. Hot fudge with sprinkles on top on an ice cream thing is fudge or syrup. I'm a fudge guy. I like the hot fudge more than I like chocolate syrup. What, you on the fence about that?
I'm not the biggest chocolate guy. I get cravings for it every now and again, but I'm not a chocolate connoisseur. I would probably go with I'd probably go with the chocolate syrup, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
It doesn't do it for me. It doesn't. I don't mind adding it a little bit. You know what? If I had to pick a dessert, I like baked goods, but like to me, it's hard for me. Ice cream with like toppings, phenomenal. I kind of got to go with that a little bit more, but okay. Fallon, I need money. You know what? He should get a daily foul anyway for thinking Poway's East County. That should be just part of the equation. So you can give him a tech.
We get another tech.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
I'm going to East County today, going to Granite Hills High School. We have passing league there. Shout out to the Granite Hills staff, Kellen Cobbs' staff. Big Padres fans, they are.
There you go.
I like Kellen Cobbs' staff. I like playing Granite Hills. A good staff, good coaching staff, good football knowledge out there. Great football team. We'll be out there today. We'll be hotter than you know what, probably. Okay, back to the sprinkles before we go to break. Those are like my toppings of choice. I like adding the sprinkles, but like if I have to pay per topping for things, that's like the added one where I have my own stash at home. I'll add it on top when I get home.
I went to,
But I can't do. If I have an option between fudge and syrup, it's going to be fudge every time. Hot fudge.
I went to Cold Stone a couple days ago. Something I probably won't be doing again anytime soon because it was $10 for a medium. The second I walked in, I remembered the bit of you saying that anyone who gets gummy bears
You're
in their ice cream is a psychopath.
You're a psychopath.
And I got
Why
them
would you
just-
ever get gummy bears on a frozen dessert? It freezes them, and it's crunchier than the sprinkles you talked about.
And I got them just because it made me laugh. I'm like, you know what? Now I can't not do it.
How's your teeth, Frank? You going to the dentist tomorrow? You going to the dentist next
it
week?
was fine.
Yeah, I got let the ice cream melt a little bit.
That New York cheesecake ice cream was actually really good.
There you go. There, I knew, and the Northeast, the Boston guys.
Well,
they're Jimmy's.
They didn't have cake.
They're
batter.
called Jimmy's.
No, they're not.
I call them sprinkles. I don't really care. SD Jonesy in the YouTube chat. He's on it, or she's on it. I can't. They're on it. Yogurt Mill and El Cajon on the way home from. Now I have two options here. As I digress, and we are over a break. I was telling this to my friend the other day. I said, we like to play all over the place for passing league for some reason. So we're at Granite today. We will be at Sage Creek on Thursday.
There you go.
We're not playing Sage Creek. They don't have a football team. Carlsbad's playing there because I think their football field's under construction or they're fixing it or something. I don't know. That's my assumption. So we're playing Carlsbad at Sage Creek High School. I get to go to Sage Creek. Is Jocelyn going to be there? It's out of session. Probably not. So when I have to travel this far all over the place, those are two totally different parts of the county. And I usually go to like the food places out there that I don't get to have. So today I have a lot of great East County staples I can go to. Now on the way back, I love Submarina. There's not a lot of them out there. There's one over in Grossmont Center that I might be hitting up for lunch on the way out. But on the way home, as Nate mentions that this show makes you gain weight based on how we talk about this, I have the options of Yogurt Mill and Beef and Bun. Now, I have my loyalties to Beef and Bun because that is my posted thing on Twitter. If you know, you know. Because there's nothing better than a peanut butter Oreo shake from Beef and Bun. Waiting in the drive-thru for that on the way back.
Well, for me, there is.
Yeah, so you would die if you had that. Have you been to Yogurt Mill?
I have not been to Yogurt Mill, no.
Yogurt Mill is like used to be an old pizza place, like way back. Like,
I've seen it. I've seen it.
It's the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yes,
and
I've
it's
seen
the
it.
Yogurt Mill,
Yes.
and they give you yogurt the size of the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh, God.
It's massive. It's a good spot.
I've seen
pretty
it.
cheap. It's a good. You want your froyo? Yogurt Mill. Bang. The Leaning Tower. There's probably a lot of people out going like, what is that? Is that the Leaning? Is that a? It's a yogurt place. Awesome. Cash only too. They don't mess around. We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll preview Padres and Cubs to finish up the show. Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Zimmerman Sports Station 97 to the Fan. The NFL just flipped over half of its coordinator jobs this offseason, and the 2026 season might be decided by which new hires survive the chaos. In Buffalo, Jim Leonard is completely reshaping a defense that's been McDermott built for years. In Washington, David Blau is trying to merge two opposite offensive systems into one identity. Fast tempo meets pro-style structure. That's either genius or a disaster waiting to happen. Baltimore's Declan Doyle is calling plays for Lamar Jackson in a complex, wordy offense that leaves almost no room for error. In Denver, Davis Webb was trying to speed up Sean Payton's system to help Bo Nix play faster and cleaner. And in Dallas, Christian Parker isn't trying to dominate. He's just trying to make the defense average, which might be enough with that offense. In today's NFL, coordinators don't just call plays. They decide whether a contender stays alive or falls apart. So it asks the question, which coordinator change will have the biggest impact of the 2026 NFL season and which one is most likely to fail under pressure? Let's start with the positive impacts first. So we talked about, Jim Leonard's going to be the new DC in Buffalo. They have David Blau and Durante Jones as new coordinators in Washington for the offense and the defensive side. Baltimore has Declan Doyle as a new OC for Lamar Jackson. Denver Broncos have Davis Webb as an OC, and Dallas Cowboys are going with Christian Parker as a defensive coordinator. You throw in Brian Fleury, maybe, who's a new offensive coordinator for Seattle, Mike Ruttenberg as a DC in Cleveland. Who is going to be the most impactful? To me, I feel like it's somebody that's going to have an opportunity to work with a head coach that already kind of is built in and knows his stuff too as a coordinator. And the one that sticks out to me is the collaboration of ideas between Sean Payton and Davis Webb, because Sean Payton has proven he could be a great OC. He's done it everywhere that he has been. A great offensive mind. He has had great offenses in the past. And maybe it's a little bit of trying to incorporate youth of Davis Webb to enhance a Bo Nix if he is able to play, or the offense that they have. So I think it's a very subtle shift in Denver, but I do think it matters because the offense wasn't really slow in Denver, but it wasn't maximizing its pre-snap advantage either. And I think Davis Webb can help elevate Sean Payton and what he does up there in Denver. So for me, that's like the biggest pairing that makes the most sense and what could have the biggest impact.
And that's something that you can also take a look at, is that Davis, that is a complex offense that Sean Payton likes to run out there in Denver. And for Davis Webb, really would help Bo Nix to be able to streamline that a little bit, make it a little bit easier, make it a little bit quicker to call, less wordy play calls. The huddles are quicker. The communication is more on point and more direct to what you want. So, yeah, I honestly would not be surprised if that turns out to be the best pairing out of the ones that we've listed so far.
And we've had so many just changes this year. 64 coordinator jobs exist in the National Football League, and more than half of them turned over this offseason. 21 new offensive coordinators, 14 new DCs. That's changing more than playbooks. I mean, it's like identities, timelines, in some cases, entire franchise directions. And obviously, a lot of these are not rebuilding jobs either. I mean, the other intriguing ones too. So like the Broncos aren't a rebuilding job, and I think that one makes it a little bit easier. The other two that are on this list here for me that stick out that could be improvements, but they were like not as high to me as the Davis Webb situation. Like Jim Leonard's a good DC. I mean, he spent some time. Obviously, he was a former NFL player not too long ago. Went to Wisconsin, was the DB's coach, turned himself in the DC, became the interim head coach at Wisconsin for a little bit before he went to Illinois, and then worked in Denver and had put together some good defenses as an assistant in Denver. He gets a good opportunity with the Bills, but also like the Bills have players and they've been running Sean McDermott stuff for a long time. Maybe a quick sometimes you see a slight change with good rosters turn defenses or offenses in even a better unit. So that one was another one on there. And as we mentioned earlier with the Dallas Cowboys, Christian Parker doesn't need to make the defense elite. He just has to make them like decent, because that defense was terrible last year. And if the Cowboys have a decent defense last year, the offense with Dak Prescott and the weapons they have are good enough to do a lot of damage. And Christian Parker runs a Vic Fangio style scheme, light blitzing, 2 high safeties, a lot of zone coverage designed to funnel plays underneath. Not very flashy, but it's very stable. And with that, I think they can also have success.
You also have the Seattle Seahawks, too, that we mentioned before. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Brian Fleury. Kubiak looked like he really figured out Jackson Smith and Jigba, getting him near 1,800 yards receiving. And now Fleury has to find a way to keep that going. And also, you're the offensive coordinator for the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. So it's definitely, that is one of the bigger jobs and one of the bigger changes that we've mentioned here.
I think that's one of the tweener ones between our two questions of like who can have the best impact and then what could be a potential disaster. The Seahawks are good enough and they just won a Super Bowl that I don't think it's going to turn into a disaster overnight. Now they're going to play a tougher schedule. 1:45 on a Tuesday. Getting ready for Padres baseball at 5:05. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 4:05. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. When's the next? The next World Cup game starts till 2:00. Brutal.
Yeah, it's France and Sweden.
And then Wednesday, we have Team USA at 5.
Yes.
Nice. Looking forward to that. All right, Padres game today. We're going to get to our bold prediction in just about a couple of minutes or so. But tonight for the Padres, we got to be able to hopefully see them string together a couple more hits when it comes to driving and runs. I thought, as much as we were, I think we've been fair today, but also critical at the same time. If I look at this offense, I think the 11 hits last night, from a positive perspective, Frank, was encouraging.
Yes, the offense is starting to figure it out for sure. And they were dink and dunk hits, but right now that's what you need in order, one, to just get guys on to score, which is something you haven't done all that much, especially recently, and to get guys hitting. That's what you need to do. Anything to get guys hitting.
So last night was a lot. We talked about the mental mistakes for the majority of our show. Last night, from a starting pitching perspective, Griffin Canning was better, yes, but he left after 74 pitches. He failed to complete 5 innings for the 5th time in 11 appearances. He allowed traffic in the 5th inning before being removed. I agree with Bob Scanlan. He handled the traffic a lot better than he had done in the past. And I understand why Craig Stammen decided to remove Canning from the game. Unfortunately, Kyle Hart was unable to prevent the inherited runner from scoring, at least one of them. But the Padres led 2-1, runners on first and second, 1 out. You had your better arms available in the bullpen. You had to win this game. You have to win this series to keep things going. But the problem is you get another outing out of a starting pitcher where you don't get the 6 innings, right? I mean, it's been a constant for this, and I think that hurt the Padres in the last inning because another outing in which they could not get a starting pitcher deeper into the game, failed to complete 5 innings for the 5th time in 11 appearances, led to the decision by Craig Stammen to have Jason Adams start the 9th inning instead of going with Mason Miller. We haven't talked too much about that today. We talked about it in our open, okay, because we heard the explanation from Craig. I get the explanation from Craig. They're trying to, find outs anywhere they can from relief pitchers because they don't want to burn any of them out. But, I mean, at that point, I think it would probably be better to start Mason Miller in that inning because I don't think you could I know you're playing for the 10th in that situation, but you can't really save guys too much. The way Jason Adams had been pitching this in the last couple outings, I don't know why you go to him for more than just one in that situation. I know why they said it, but I still think even knowing that information, it would have been better off having Mason Miller start the inning because they decided not to do that because they were hoping they could sneak Jason Adams through another inning so they can protect their bullpen later on if they have to go further or just later on for the week. It kind of blew up on them. And I would rather just have Mason Miller just start the 9th inning and let's get to the 10th and figure it out then. And I get where they're coming from, but I just think they should have done it the other way.
I would agree with that as well. I mean, when you have a guy like Mason Miller, I'm like you. I understand the decision as to why and the explanation that Craig Stammen gave. When you have Mason Miller, who has not pitched in so many days, just trot him out there for the start of the inning. That explanation and doing what they did would make a lot more sense had Miller just come off of pitching 2 of the last 3 days. He hasn't. Just go at the point you were in last night, you've got to get him some work anyway. just send him. Just send him out there right then. Makes it. Again, the only way I could see them doing the way they did it, with the explanation that Craig Stammen gave, was if he had come off of pitching 2 of the last 3 or 3 of the last 4 days, and you needed him. That's it.
I agree with you too. I feel like, and you know what? I don't think Craig Stammen has made too many catastrophic mistakes. Like, there's some people out there that think like everything that happens that goes wrong is Craig Stammen's fault. He's the worst manager of all time. I'm not going to sit here and believe that. I thought, and I agree with one in the YouTube chat, it's probably one of his first glaring mistakes.
And it wasn't almost
of the season.
And it almost wasn't even a mistake, because if that happens here, Jace Bowen more likely catches that, and they somehow sneak out of that inning.
Right, which is no guarantee that they would win the game. But at the same time, I mean, they made a phenomenal play right before. They almost got out of it.
Yeah, it's not like it was bases loaded, no out, and you got down to runners on second and third, 2 out, and you almost snuck your way out of it. And sometimes you're going to, sometimes you're not. And last night, they just didn't sneak out of it.
Correct. So let's talk about tonight in terms of like what we want to see out of the bold prediction. JP Sears is starting against Matthew Boyd. JP Sears 1-0 with a 3.18 ERA in that one start that he had. Again, his ERA was super high in El Paso, but his strikeout to walk was good. Numbers are going to get inflated down in El Paso in the PCL. Boyd, not, he's 2-1 with a 5.02 ERA, not his best ERA of his career. We'll see how the Padres do tonight. But in terms of a bold prediction, there's some like keys to the game that need to happen. But my bold prediction is Sears picks up where he left off. I think he has another good outing tonight. I think quality start out of JP Sears. The Padres really need that, but I would say quality start out of JP Sears tonight. That might not be like my boldest prediction, but that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to say the prediction is a quality start, showing that it wasn't a fluke in his last start.
I'm going to be specific with this one.
I'm also hoping for that to happen.
Padres get the advantage of getting a ball stuck in the ivy. That's going to be my bold. They're going to get a key advantage because the ball gets stuck in the ivy tonight.
The ball got stuck in the ivy last night. Did it give them an advantage, or?
No,
are you saying
it was
like
just a double? Like,
are you saying like Pete Crow Armstrong's gonna get a trip? Is it looking like he's gonna get a triple? And the ball gets stuck in the ivy
with a runner on base? Yeah, and the runner's forced to stay at third.
No, so
I think there's
a runner on first, and the ball goes in the ivy on a ball that's definitely gonna score the guy with 2 outs. That's oddly specific.
It is a very oddly specific yet bold statement to make. Yes,
I would almost like the changing of the wind that affects the game, like Bob Scanlan said, will have an impact in favor of the Padres. That would be fun. Are we going to see these? Like, are we going to see the rookies go get them coffee tomorrow morning at the Starbucks down the street?
I do not know.
Doesn't every team do that? Don't they make like the rookies go get the coffee order?
Usually, that's usually a late season thing where they have the rookie hazing thing.
I think it's just anytime you go to Chicago. For National League teams, it just depends on when you go.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen too many teams post about it yet.
The only time I ever see teams do anything with the rookies is usually September.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll be back tomorrow a little bit earlier than usual. I'll be on at 9 a.m. tomorrow for a couple of segments. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Gwen and Chris coming up next.
Padres Cubs.